channels are taking away all my thunder. So whatever. We're good to go with that. We got a few guests with us tonight. We've got Ironton Auditor, we got Artie's Corporate Fiction, and Burn the Corporate Fiction. I'm going to go around the table here one time. I'll start up here in the top with Ironton Auditor. Go ahead and let us know a little bit of something about yourself there, Ironton.
Well, I think pretty much everybody out there knows who I am by now. I've been blasted around here and there, kind of like Chili's lapdog for a little while. So his whole following knows me for sure, and I think most of your chat does. I'm just a lonely little old man here in Ironton who likes to follow the cops around with a camera and let you see what I see and hear what I hear. Unfortunately, my channel's not near as exciting as some of the other auditor channels out there because I don't go out and create a scene. I just like to video what happens and let you see it as I see it.
I'm going to turn this thing down so I don't have to hear it anymore. Yeah, Ironton Auditor. He's his channel's. I think he put it up there in the link. There's Jane in the chat. How you doing, sweetheart? We've got Burn the Corporate Fiction, aka Ryan. Would you like to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on?
I mean, I pretty much just I advocate truth and not, I advocate truth that you can prove. And I don't audit personally. I don't go out and seek out interactions with road pirates, but I do use this for myself and successfully remove myself from compromising situations where they try to cause me financial injury on a regular basis. I just did that on the way down to visit my dad in Maryland. Told the cop, no, I'm not giving you my license. I'm not operating. I'm not performing in a commercial capacity. I'm traveling, and I showed him some paperwork, and he let me go. So that's pretty much it.
So you're actually doing, you're actually walking the walk.
Yeah, I do it for myself. Yeah, I don't go out and I don't seek. I'll teach anybody who wants to learn, but I don't go out and intentionally try to provoke, like I said, the road pirates, because a lot of them, they don't know any of this stuff either. So, and then their egos won't allow them to accept the fact that they don't have, non-consensual authority over somebody. They just can't possibly, so even when you do approach them, like a lot of these auditors I see, they're not very tactful, and they instead like to just provoke. The guy like Chili, for instance, he's talking about, why don't you take your badge off and this and that, and there's no reason it even needed to ever get to that point, honestly, if he didn't instigate it there himself. These guys are doing a job. They didn't know something, you inform them. What they do with that information is their business. Either they're gonna leave you alone or you'll just get it dropped in court.
So if you had to ever go to court as a result of like driving without a license or anything?
Have I had to go to court for driving without a license?
Yeah, I
No.
mean, like if they ever give you
I've got a no proof of insurance dropped, but I mean, I've carried and like I tell the cops, like I carry a license in case I want. So what people don't understand is that a license is for operating commercially. So if you don't have to have a license to travel from point A to point B. But if you want to, if you want to drive to make money, if you want to be a delivery driver, if you want to do Uber, if you want to do Lyft, if you want to do any of these things, then you are driving commercially for profit. I actually have Supreme Court cases that expressly explain that specifically is exactly what licensing is for. And it's not for just traveling. So it's not a bad idea to have one, but you don't need it. You only need it if you're operating in a commercial capacity, is what I'm saying. And you never need to present it. You never need to present any form of identification unless you're in the commission of a crime, or you're operating commercially. So
I've got Artie's Corporate Fiction with us tonight. Artie's got a pretty good sized channel out there. It's quite an honor to have you here.
Hey, thanks,
a little backstory as to how he got here was I was in his chat. I'd seen that he subscribed to me, and I like to watch his thing. And it was covering a court case, and I was listening to the shit the judge was saying, and I just commented. I said, "This is a bunch of corporate bullshit." And he goes, "Would you like to have a discussion?" And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool because you know, a lot of that, it is just a bunch of corporate horse shit. And Marty, tell us a little bit about your channel. You're a little bit kind of on the other side of this,
Sure.
aren't you?
Yes. I am Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. I run a YouTube channel, have been for the last couple of years. I am a licensed attorney from the states of New York and New Jersey. I have been for about 11 years now. Yeah, about 11 years now. I've been a licensed attorney for the states of New York and New Jersey. A lot of my content is focused on debunking sovereign citizen-esque arguments such as the so-called right to travel, the so-called associating America as though it's a private company, the same with the states and the judiciary and so forth. So a lot of my content is focused on that, as well as First Amendment auditors, but primarily it has been on the arguments, the pseudo-legal arguments that encompass the sovereign citizen ideology. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Well, that's like I was saying earlier, that whole idea of the sovereign citizen. I think that a lot of times, and I've seen it so many times in some of the stuff that you featured, is where somebody is actually trying to straddle the fence, you know, and be a sovereign citizen, whereas it's kind of it's an oxymoron.
It is, and
You could say it is, but it's a general label.
It's a jobless employee. When you say I'm a sovereign citizen, you're saying I'm a jobless employee.
Well, I agree. Well, you're right. Those two words can be oxymorons, but I would like to point that it was the original purveyors of the sort of tax protester / right to travel arguments, who they themselves coined themselves as sovereign citizens. So this wasn't something that was invented by the government to label people. It's simply a catch-all term. It's simply a catch-all term that encompasses these kinds of arguments.
That was conspiracy theorists that was created by the government to label those type of people. You're right, not the sovcit thing. That's a creation entirely of itself by people who don't really know what they're talking about completely. But then again, it's not their fault, which is why all of these contracts are under with the government are null and void, because fraud vitiates a contract when they don't honestly disclose information. I've got a bunch of Supreme Court cases, but actually, interestingly enough, Artie, so you think that there isn't a distinction between a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen and an American national or state national? Is that what you're saying?
The only known non-citizen nationals are those who are in the U.S. Mariana Islands and the American Samoa.
Well, I'm sure that's what they teach you in law school nowadays, but are you aware?
Well, it's also in the statute as well. So.
Well, statutes aren't law. Are you aware?
Yes, it is.
No, it's color.
Yes, they are.
I'll get to that.
Law. Statutes are a form of law.
I've got Supreme Court for that too, but let's start one thing at a time. Are you aware of the case People versus Horton? Right. I can give you it's 14th Cal. That I can give you all the information. I think I sent it to my dad to put up on the screen, but it says it's from 1971. It says a U.S. citizen upon leaving.
Wait, was that 14 Cal? Hold on, you said it was 14 Cal?
Yeah.
That's a California Supreme Court case, not federal.
It doesn't. Here, just listen to what it says.
Is that People versus Horton? That's a California court case, correct?
Will you listen to what it says?
Is it? Can you confirm to me that that's a California and not a Supreme Court case, a U.S. Supreme Court case?
I'll give you a U.S. Supreme Court case in a minute. Listen to this case.
Okay.
A U.S. citizen, upon leaving the District of Columbia, becomes involved in interstate commerce as a resident. Do you know the legal definition of resident? What is that?
Can you give me the full citation, please? Hold on. Can you give?
Here, buddy.
People versus Horton. Is that Horton?
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta turn my camera around.
I'm looking for it right now.
Hold on. I'm just gonna show you the damn thing. Do a camera, front camera, back camera. Okay. Here you go. People versus Horton. There you go.
14 Cal Ave, 3rd edition, 3rd, 667, 1971.
Here, let me put it up all the way on screen so you can see it. Hold on. There. You got your finger in the way there.
All right, hold on. Sorry. Here. I was getting out of there. So anyway,
can you give me a synopsis of the case, the facts of the case?
how about you stop interrupting me and let me finish reading
All right.
one sentence. It's one sentence, right? So, anyways, a U.S. citizen, upon leaving the District of Columbia, becomes involved in interstate commerce as a resident, does not have the common law right to travel of a citizen of one of the several states. And this is just one of many court cases I'm going to show you that proves there's two citizenships.
Okay, so in that, so are you done with? Is that hold on, settle down? Is that the full is that the full quote you're getting out of there?
Yep.
Okay, so I have the case in front of me out of Lexis, and that statement is nowhere in the decision. Common law. You said common right. I got common's not in there. You said DC, the District of Columbia, right? Columbia.
Right.
That's not in there. Resident. Is that resident's not even in there either?
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, how about this?
Okay. All right. Find me another one.
Okay, how about this one? Wheeling Steel Court versus Fox. Therefore, the United citizens or the U.S.
Hold on. If you're going to give me citations, give me the full site so I can look it up along with you. Right? We're gonna do this together.
Okay, let's do it together.
Now, what's the next one?
Where is it? I'm looking for it. It's right there. Wheeling Steel Court versus Fox.
298 US 193. Let's see here. Wheeling Steel Corporation versus Fox. Decided 1936. Let me see here. Appeal from a judgment for the Circuit Court of West Virginia in a statutory proceeding for the review of a tax assessment. Supreme Court of Appeals of the state denied a writ of error, the judgment having been entered pursuant to its decision on the previous review.
Right. So it says, in this case, therefore, the U.S. citizens residing in one of the states of the Union are classified as property and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity.
Okay. Let me see here. Property. Statutes, allocation as distinction from property which has no jurisdiction. I've had lots of instances of property. Can you repeat that quote again for me, please?
Yes. Therefore, the U.S. citizens residing in one of the states of the Union are classified as property and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity.
Let me see here. I have franchise. No, there's no franchises of the U.S. government. There's no resident.
I looked this stuff up on case text, and I have no idea what you're looking this up on that you can't seem to find.
Lexis Advance.
Okay, and what?
You said resident is you said U.S. citizen.
Therefore, the U.S. citizens residing in one of the several states of the Union, or in one of the states of the Union, are classified as property and franchises of the federal government.
Let me see here. Citizens not even in here.
Yeah, I'm sure, dude. You're gonna
franchise. Franchise is not there. Franchise is not there. I don't believe. We do have reside at least. Let's see here.
So I don't believe you. I think.
So here's the thing. It
sounds. Hold up. Can you pull it? Can we pull this? Is there a way that we can pull up what you're seeing, Artie?
Oh yes, absolutely. We can.
Because I think that's where the confusion lies. I think you guys are looking at two different sources, and that might be where we're getting some differences. Because according to Burn the Corporate Fiction, what his source is saying one thing, and yours is got a different lexicon to it. So
okay, so here we go. As you can see, it said Wheeling Steel Corporation versus Fox, correct? 298 US 193.
So do you have the actual transcript, or are you just looking at a summary?
No, I have. This is the entirety of the case.
Okay, is that a summary, or is that actually what was said?
It's the actual case, the opinion,
the actual case.
The syllabus and the full opinion.
Okay, so what you're saying is that all
right, let's look. You said what was your direct quote that you said here?
What is this website?
I said, therefore, U.S. citizens residing in one of the states of the Union are classified as property and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity.
See, residing is not there. Union. Let me see here. Union
And what you
Refrigerator
so how
Transit
come-
versus
how come I can
Kentucky.
look up these
Union
cases
Refrigerator,
and you-
Union Refrigerator. So nothing in there. It seems to me that your sources aren't exactly accurate.
like case text is not accurate, Justia is not accurate. Give me a fucking break, dude.
What are
How
you
about
then? What?
Shapiro
Then
versus Thompson?
what?
How about Shapiro? How
What?
about Shapiro
What
versus
pamphlet
Thompson?
are you looking in?
What do you mean? What pamphlet am I looking at?
What are you reading off of? What's your book that you're reading off of? That you're getting these that you're citing these cases.
I find these cases that were cited in other void judgments.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right, so you're getting at secondary sources.
Well, no, then I go look them up on case text or on Justia or any number of other fucking law websites like Shapiro versus Thompson. The right to travel by private conveyance for private purposes. Here, let me give you this one. See that?
I know all about Shapiro versus Thompson. It's probably one of the most cited cases that Right to Travel folks love to use, along with Chicago Motor Court, Chicago Motor Court.
Let's hear that. What's your defense against that? There's a distinct difference between a 14th Amendment United States citizen and a state citizen. Okay.
Okay.
In the early 1900s, you weren't a United States citizen, and you weren't. The only way you were a United States citizen is if you lived in the District of Columbia or federal territory, dude. And there's no, it's historical. It's in congressional record, even.
298 U.S. 193. Well, hold on a second. You wanted to say, you were saying that Justia, right?
Right.
Let me
Or
see
case
here.
text.
Oh, note held page is well, this doesn't look like a full text here. Aha, here we go. Case Ohio. Let's see. You said it was residing. Let's find residing.
No, wait. Is it residing? I have to look. Hold on. Where the fuck did it go? Yes, residing in one of the states of the union are classified as property.
Control F, residing.
And an individual entity.
Okay, how about the entity? How about that? Nope,
Try that,
nothing in
individual.
entity. Individual. There's mail to customers from individual plants. That's not it. And then individuals from the rest of the page. So this is from Justia, and it doesn't seem like your sources are on there.
Right, what about Shapiro versus Thompson?
All right, let's
What
go
do
to
you have
Shapiro.
to say
All
about
right,
that?
all right. So we took care of that. That's pretty inaccurate. And you said Shapiro versus Thompson. What was your quote from
No,
Shapiro
it's
versus
not
Thompson?
inaccurate, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to
you said you relied on Justia as a reliable source. We just went to Justia. Oh, you want to go to case text? We can go to case text. Why not? We can do that too. Let's go. Let's go.
Wheeling Steel Corp versus Fox.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Of course, they got a paywall. Wait, is this the right case text or I get scammed?
Yes, it's the one
Yes,
I always use. I don't go through fucking Google.
But it's behind a paywall, so unfortunately we can't confirm whether or not case text is accurate. But we already debunked one of your reliable sources.
No, you didn't.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
I went to Justia, looked up Wheeler, and Wheeler matches with Alexis Advance. But we could go to Shapiro versus Thompson. Let's go.
Okay,
Let's
what
go.
about Shapiro versus Thompson?
What's the quote?
The quote is: "The right to travel by private conveyance for private purchases upon the common way cannot be infringed. No license or permission is required to travel." So it says the rights of the individuals are restricted only to the extent that they have been voluntarily surrendered by the citizenship to the agencies of government. And this is another indication of the difference between 14th Amendment citizen and a state.
So the only thing for license is footnote. We implied to no view the validity of waiting period or residence requirements determining eligibility to vote, eligibility to tuition-free education, to obtain a license to practice a profession or to hunt or fish and so forth. So the requirements may promote compelling state interests. So when you go on the one hand or on the other, it may not be penalties upon the exercise of the constitutional right of interstate travel. So that's not the quote you're looking for. What was the other words that we can look at?
This is the quote I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Okay. It says this. Where the fuck did it go? Hold on. You've got me fucking flustered because
I'm challenging you.
no, because I want to break your stupid fucking neck. But
Yeah.
Come on, man. Oh man, come on.
I do want to burn the corporate fiction now. All right, what about this? Stock versus medical examiners. Here, I definitely need to give you that.
All right. Give me 1 second. Let me so I can get the up here for the full quote. Stock versus medical examiners.
Yes.
Can you give me the site?
It's 94 CA 2D 751 2.211 P2D 289. There's fucking a bunch of stuff in here.
That's it. Can I see what it looks like? Might be,
Yeah, I'm trying to show you.
Hang on, I got it. Let me bring it up.
Can you read it?
There we go. 94 CA 2D 751.
I'm getting good at this technographical stuff.
Okay, so it's misspelled actually. Well, according to this, it says stuck versus medical examiners.
Then I copied and fucking printed this one, so I could have mistyped it. It's fine.
Let me see if I can get it from what were we just Justia. Let me see if Justia has it. Stuck versus medical examiners. There we go. What does this say?
So it says that it's controlled by statute. The court is governed by the rules of limited jurisdiction, and courts exercising jurisdiction over such matters must proceed within the structures of the statute. The state citizen is immune from any and all government attacks and procedure absent contract, which is what I'm kind of trying to get into with the difference between 14, which you know goddamn well because I
Let's see here. So absent is not here. So absent absent contract, that's not here. What was the other words? Let me see what.
That was a quote from
contract. Contract isn't even in here.
The state citizen this is all run together. So the state citizen is immune from any and all government attacks.
Immune
is Dred Scott versus Sanford. The one was the structures of the statute was the medical examiner. So
structure. Well, so immune is not there. You said structure?
No, I just said that one is, dude, I can't deal with this fucking guy. He keeps interrupting me. Listen.
Well, settle down. Just settle down. Make your points. You guys it's starting to get ego shit going on. Let's not have that.
He's a fucking little Jewy lawyer fuck, and I want to
hang. Oh, dude, come on.
I love how that's the first thing I get from people whenever I have a conversation. They always...
Well, you know what the fuck your people do, you cocksucker.
Dude, I'm Puerto Rican. Settle down, man.
Not a good look.
He mad. Why are you mad?
I don't know. He left. He got mad. He left. So, I don't know. Let me bring this back the other way.
There we go.
What happened?
Oh, I just stopped.
There he
is. Okay.
I stopped sharing. Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's all right. I got you. I got you back. I don't know. I'm real sorry about that, man. That wasn't cool at all. That was really, I think, kind of.
He was definitely a little upset about it.
Yeah, that's.
The thing is that I came in fully, especially when he was saying these things, I came in fully expecting that he was going to have, especially when he says, I got a bunch of court cases about this, right? So I came in fully expecting what was going to be said for a lot of these things. And a lot of it, what happens is that he had a printout, and he also admitted that he copy pasted a lot of it. And so I fully expected that they were going to be full of a typical list of court cases full of either completely fabricated quotes or ones that were taken out of complete context. And I don't think he liked the fact that I actually had in front of me full-on access to be able to look up these cases myself.
Well, see, that's just it right there. Is you got to go and look at all of it. Now, I do know that there is a lot of validity in much of this that is brought out, and there is a lot of convoluted shit, especially when it comes down to this uniform commercial code, which is anything but uniform. And this is where we get a lot of these codes and
Well,
statutes.
no,
that are
well,
so
see,
damn silly.
that's incorrect though. You know that the UCC, is a uniform commercial code, as you probably understand it.
Right.
The uniform commercial code is a model form of a law to govern the commercial transactions, and each state has passed their own version of the uniform commercial code.
Right. Well, see, that's where this whole thing comes into too, is where what we're talking about is because it is in the verbiage. It really is in the verbiage. The idea of motor vehicle, the definitions of which, the term driving, these are commercial terms. These absolutely are, and those are regulated. Those absolutely are regulated.
But that's where I have to disagree with you.
Get out of there. I think that what a lot of people get out is because the difference between the common law and the commercial law is that under common law, you cannot coerce a contract. You see what I'm saying? Where, like, for instance, the seatbelt. All right. For instance, the seatbelt law. I'm just using that as an example. There, right there, there's no incidence of any loss, injury, or harm whatsoever. That is completely that they turn a right into a privilege and then thereby can enforce a statute upon it. And they further enforce that by using, of course, Federal Reserve notes, which are not actual redeemable money. So it's really quite convoluted. If you look at the
well, that's usually how they are. Usually, how these things are, that they're very convoluted. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, our law was supposed to be and is, if you read it, very concise and very. It's supposed to be so that the common man can understand it, and it has become a big, huge, convoluted mess to where the common man can understand it. This is why when you go in, and if I go into a courtroom and I hire you, I've already declared in the eyes of the court that I'm incompetent to speak to the court. I can't even operate.
How can you? Well, I don't know.
Why they talk to you. That's why they'll only talk to you. They won't talk to me.
That's incorrect. And the reason why that's incorrect is because why would they say that if you have an attorney, you're completely admitting that you're incompetent? Except hold, let me finish.
Okay.
Except when according to Ferretta versus California, they maintain that you absolutely have the right to self-representation, and what that means is that the state cannot actually foist an attorney on you if you decide you don't want one.
Oh yeah, well, I've seen though where they won't, where they'll actually force you to take one of their attorneys. I mean, I've actually witnessed.
That's what happens at a Ferretta hearing.
This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's almost and if you've got to admit you've been in there, it's nothing like the common layman thinks. When you go into court, first, real quick, original vintage. I've never claimed to be a sovereign citizen. I said I'm a sovereign soul. Learn what the term sovereign means and learn what a soul is. Okay. Although I do espouse physical liberty and freedom. And I do question, where does this bullshit come from? Because you have to admit, Artie, as much time I've been in court, you've been in court, it's nothing like what these people think it is on TV. They watch LA Law and shit and they think it's not. It's a grist mill. It's a fucking banker grist mill. And it's all it is you go in as my attorney and you make a fucking deal with those people. And that's it right there. Nobody wants to take it to actual court. They want to act, they just go in there, they work out a deal. You say you did this, I'll say I did that. You go ahead and here you go. You pay this amount of money. It's all done.
Okay.
Hey, Sovereign. I hate to interrupt, but I have to jump off here for a bit. And if you're still on, I will be back though. I have something I have to go take care of. Right.
Absolutely.
So y'all have a great evening, a great stream. Hello and goodbye to everybody in the chat. And thanks for joining us tonight, Artie. I really appreciate it. I always love hearing both sides of everything.
Take care, man.
I'm going to put this down here. Joe Cool's in the audience if you'd like to come up and talk a little bit too.
Well,
Joe.
my thing is that yes, you're right. The court as system as it is isn't like what it is on TV. I mean, but the thing is, we've all seen it firsthand. I mean, the rise of the pandemic led to a lot of these courts broadcasting a lot of their hearings, where we see them, and they still do it even after the restrictions have been lifted. They're still doing it. I think it's a great thing because it actually shows a lot more transparency and allows the layman to actually see, a typical day in court.
Oh my
Whether
God,
you,
yes. I mean, look at the things we got to see though, and this is what got me about it too, is that you can
yeah,
see
oftentimes I
the
see,
inequity.
yeah,
You see the inequity. I mean, here we had this thing they spent every day for a couple of weeks over some Hollywood weirdo who shit on her boyfriend's bed, you know, and everybody's into that. Oh my God, did it have corn in it? They're all into the details and shit. Right before that, we had the Ghislaine Maxwell thing going on, and hey, where's the fucking client list, man? Nobody's that's just out in the wind. Couldn't have no cameras in that court. Couldn't have any recordings in that court because why? Who knows? Who knows? You see, and it's just like a double standard every time you turn around.
well, the discretion of whether or not to publicize the trial is usually up to the judge.
See, that shouldn't be. That should be a matter of public record. It
Well,
absolutely should.
Well, it is usually a matter of public record.
Well,
You
if
could
you
still
pay the
you
money,
can still
I mean,
attend.
so
Well,
what
you can
would be
still
the
attend as a
problem?
member of the gallery, right?
Right. So what would be the difference as long as you don't get the jury in? Why can't they just go ahead and have that? You know, I mean, it's this is something of public interest, especially when it's potentially, well, not we know more than potentially involving high level people that we put a lot of trust into. You know, we're talking about people that have the power to send men off to die in distant battlefields or going to islands and diddling little kids and shit. You know, I mean, it's just like where's the justice there? But then they're going to turn around and keep these people in jail for January 6th on a disorderly tour of the Capitol building. You know, I mean, it's just like, come on, man.
I mean, you're bringing in a whole lot of different topics, and it's kind of hard to keep up if you don't mind.
Well, I'm just saying,
you're kind of throwing everything. You're throwing everything to the wall, and I'm kind of struggling to keep it all together and trying to respond to it.
I'm just pointing out the different, how it's really shown, like you were saying, during the pandemic, everybody got a chance to see, but it's also given people a chance to see the inequity that's involved with the entire system. You know, we see people getting jacked up on bullshit charges, and everybody's like, "Yay, look at that guy! He stood up for his rights, and he got fucked." And then you turn around, and Nancy Pelosi's husband gets wiped for drunk driving, and what the fuck? Nobody's batting an eye about it. Oh well, it's just those people.
Well, I thought it was funny when the body cam footage came out. I still haven't showcased. Oh yeah. Have you not seen the body cam footage? It's already come out about her husband's DUI. I've yet to show it to my stream, but it's pretty funny.
I'll have to look.
But we knew it was unequal before this. You're saying that since the lockdown, it's we see more of it or something. I mean, it's not like we didn't know that Nancy Pelosi, husband and kids, and everybody else get away with shit.
Well, I mean, yes, hurrah, politicians bad. I mean, telling me something I don't know, but yeah.
Right, that type of shit, right.
Well, I mean, it's more so, Joe, that yeah, that shit was known out there, but that was only like you saw it at the supermarket when you were checking out on the cover of the tabloids or something.
So now we see it now more because of the lockdown and social media. That's where you're going, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's like held captive in their house, nothing else right. on YouTube and everything.
Well, I think the point is the advent of, because of the lockdown, because of the restrictions, it forced people to do more video conferencing, and oftentimes the only way to be able to view video conferencing is through YouTube, which allowed people to live stream it and offered these Zoom links became public, because again, these court hearings are supposed to be open to members of the public, and thereby allowed a lot more people to be able to access your everyday court hearings that normally you wouldn't see if you weren't restricted. Go ahead, man.
I
Welcome back.
kind of question
No,
the
I'm not
legality
getting
of
back
those.
for long. I got a couple questions for you. The one I had to get off because I had to look exactly what you're looking at. Those are summaries of the case, right? Those don't have the transcript in them. Okay.
No, I'm looking at the opinions though, but the full opinions.
Right,
Those
you're
are the
looking
things
at
that matter.
Opinions which are formed by the very bar association that has fought so goddamn hard to hide.
So it's a conspiracy theory that it's
Yeah,
the opinion.
It's 100% really. That is really what's
just
going on. It's
because
not a conspiracy.
it could be absent. It
What
could
happened-
be not in the opinion and be in the case somewhere.
No, Joe Cool. I quoted him the exact opinions that are the actual law. That's what matters.
Let me finish. Yeah, of
Go
course
ahead.
they're not going to put this.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Don't fly off the handle this time.
Like, dude, fuck you. How's that sound? Listen, how about this?
you flew off already.
Listen,
baby.
Listen,
Come on, guys.
There's
There's no need to be disrespectful.
Listen. His little fucking grabbling ass in a second. But what I want to bring up.
Oh my God.
Is this right? First of all, do you know what the real not venues? I don't mean like federal FBI venue, police venue, county venue. I mean, do you know what the three main jurisdictions are? Do they even teach you that? What are they?
Which ones are you talking about? The ones cited
Land,
in Article
air,
3?
and water.
No, that's
Land,
wrong.
Air, and... Yes, it is. No, it's not wrong.
I bet you think it's an acronym for law, right?
No, I
Land, air, water.
Nice.
Is that where you got it from?
I think it fits nicely, and I use that, but I don't think that's exactly where it came from. Is there a difference between a common law jurisdiction and a commercial jurisdiction? You dishonest little traveler.
There's not.
How is there not a difference? Okay, so
there's a difference between common law, right? And then there's common law is a form of law, statutory law is a form of law, and so on and so forth. Common law usually is done through judicial precedent. Well, I'm explaining to you what the difference is between these things. A common law in the United States is through judicial precedent. It's usually law that's formulated through hundreds of years of judicial decisions hand down as precedent. And then statutory law. And statute law is law that's passed by the respective legislatures of the state or the federal government.
The only law in this country is the Constitution. You fuckhead. And you know that. You know this shit.
Okay, do you know what the 10th Amendment says, though?
Yeah, all states that are no powers delegated to the federal government through the Constitution.
There's no need to be disrespectful, guys. Come on.
Okay.
No, let's not have
hey, buddy, you cut off there a second. You're gonna have to repeat it.
There's no need to be disrespectful, guys. Come on.
It's
okay. You got an echo. What is your name? Sarah Page, I think you have an echo. Make sure your YouTube.
Okay, so the 10th Amendment basically says any powers not delegated to the federal government through the Constitution are reserved to the states, respectively.
Does that mean that the states are allowed to pass their own laws?
No, it means that. Listen, the only laws that can be passed are things that are in concordance with or in agreement with the Constitution. On no statute or anything has authority if it's not in congruence with the Constitution.
Okay, yeah. And who determines what is or is not in congruence with the Constitution?
Right on. That's the problem.
But prior to the bankruptcy, there was a whole different attitude in the.
Which
Supreme
bankruptcy? The one in 1871, the 1861, the 1933.
Yes, I know about the 1871.
Are you gonna start citing me the House Resolution 192?
No, I'm not. Do you want to keep trying? Do you want to?
It's Artie. I believe he's referring to the bankruptcy in 1933. There was a lot of pivotal shit that happened that year.
And the Federal Securities Act was passed, and they used the creation of 10 Social Security zones and the postal code to rope everybody into a federal jurisdiction that was previously non-existent.
Is it federal or military?
It's military.
Hey, guy.
Because I was just trying to, because I've heard different versions of this revisionist history, so I'm trying to figure out which one you're advocating.
Well,
Artie, you're gonna love this one too, man. This is some revisionist shit. I'd love to get your opinion on it. I'm told that at birth, you're sold to a corporation. Your birth certificate makes you're sold to a corporation as a slave. Any truth to that?
No.
Oh my God! Listen,
You've heard
I
that
cannot
yeah?
sell my certified birth certificate on a stock exchange. No, if I
Why is
did,
it
I
on
would have
stock
gotten that money
exchange? Why
back.
can I go on gemiutility.org, type in my social security number, and see every single fucking company, trust company, most of them are out of Delaware, that either has owned
Yeah,
or
most
currently
companies
owns?
incorporate out of Delaware. Yes.
Right, because the Delaware company is the one that stepped in and renamed itself the United States Incorporated in
No,
1871. You
the
can
reason
say
why they
no
all
you
incorporate in
want.
Delaware is because Delaware doesn't have a corporate tax.
Right. Why do you think that is?
So
Because
I've been
Delaware
waiting
wanted a
to.
lot of these
Good, bro.
businesses to be
Because
incorporated in Delaware.
companies have run the world since the 1600s. Okay, it was
I think we agree
companies
with that.
had
Yeah.
royal charters that allowed them to go wage wars and
You mean
establish colonies.
are you talking about the East India Trading Company?
That's one of many I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay, and are you saying that are they instilling control now or something?
Guys,
What I'm
so
saying is that these companies have, yes,
Yeah, we gotta
absolutely.
let the
okay,
new girl get
Through
in,
the
guys.
central
We
so
gotta
banking
let
system,
somebody
they're
new
all
get
in
in,
like
control.
guys.
What is
there's
the
so
Federal
much
Reserve, Artie? What are you,
testosterone
Jewy buddy?
All right,
shooting out
hold
of
up,
the
There
y'all.
you go,
live
ain't
stream.
it, Sarah?
Hey, y'all,
Hey,
let
Sarah,
Sarah talk.
I,
Sarah,
I'm sorry.
and
I'm
let
sorry.
the new
You're too
person talk.
goyim for me to divulge the secrets of the cabal. So you're gonna
I
have to
believe
hold on.
All right, yeah.
Okay,
Be
so
patient, guys.
This fucking
so
guy. I've
these
never
guys.
actually met like a full blown anti-Semite citizen. So this is great. I love it.
Where's your Jew gold, Artie? Where's your Jew gold? You know
Where's
you're
the Jew
wearing it
gold?
around your neck.
My Jew gold was all spent on my gaming PC. So you
And I'm
know.
actually not an anti-Semite. The original Jew, like Orthodox Jews, perfectly fine. You Ashkenazi pieces of shit.
Hey, I'm gonna try this one more time.
That's usually what that's usually what they try to say to try and help themselves.
Can you hear my mic? Can you catch my mic?
Listen, I don't care. Hey, if I don't like a group of people because they have historically done
Y'all
shit
can't
to
hear
other
me?
countries.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, clap, mouse. Boys.
Are you my mom? What is this?
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, like for just
I was just gonna say, let this Sarah get an opportunity to speak. She's been patient, and you guys been monopolizing the conversation.
Let her do it.
Thank you. And I'm not trying to interrupt because I am trying to listen to the both of you. I cannot go against the both of you. For one, I'm not as smart as either of you gentlemen, but I have been reading a whole lot lately, and I kind of like right now. I want to back up Ryan. So and Artie, this is what I'm saying, okay? Like he was trying to explain, the average citizen, when you go to get the title for your vehicle or the registration for your vehicle, title you must have to prove, of course, that is your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The registration is something that is voluntary in the corporate sense for them, but the majority of people, when you get a vehicle, you're considered a motor carrier. You are your own corporate entity, and then that's where the jurisdiction falls in. A commercial vehicle has many different definitions, but still in the same, a commercial vehicle is manufactured. Everybody goes to a car lot to purchase their car that was commercially manufactured. It is still a commercial vehicle, yet it is operated for non-business purposes.
I don't know
which
if that
is where
holds
the
true,
exemptions
right?
are.
So
Jurisdiction.
Completely wrong.
Yeah, for first thing, how's my mic? I turned down the mic volume. Am I better now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the answer to that is no. I don't know where you get this idea that simply by registering your vehicle, you are telling the state that it is a commercial carrier or motor carrier. No, because
no, that's not what I said.
So then, what are you saying? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, you do not have to register your vehicle unless you intend to be part of that corporate regulation.
Okay, so under what state statutes are you getting this from, or where are you getting this information from?
every state operates the same under that because each state follows the guidelines based on federal motor carrier safety regulations and the motor vehicle regulations. There are exemptions to every single bit of that. Every single bit of it.
She's getting it all from me.
You have
Juan.
there's no motor. You don't have to have operating authority. It's your vehicle. You're the one taking responsibility for that. And when you get out on the road to go to the store, travel to A to B, you don't have to have a driver's license for that. If you're using a commercial motor vehicle for non-business purposes, it's personal transportation considered to be an automobile. Now, if you're out on the road and you're out there, quote, driving, yes, you absolutely have to have all of those endorsements. But to get in your car, at that point, it becomes an automobile.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a distinction totally between the two times that can be proven.
Okay, so
And
yeah,
so
state
Sarah,
follows
Sarah,
the same guidelines.
Sarah,
She's getting it all from me.
Sarah, real quick, let me see here. I'm looking directly at New Jersey statutes, title 39:3-4, registration of automobiles and motorcycles, application registration certificates, acceptance here. Yes, acceptance. Yes, which is law. Acceptance herein after. Yes. Yes.
No.
You're messing up point, Artie.
You
I
are-
think she is saying that.
Each citizen
Okay, so
is a
federally
governed corporate entity.
Sarah,
Federal.
you just said that the states had to follow the federal law motor carrier statute.
No, I said that's where they get their guidance from. When they make their statute,
So
they
then,
follow
so then
those
who?
guidelines.
So then why bother with this creating this law just for the kicks? Even if it doesn't apply to anybody.
No, that is not what it says at all.
So then what does the statute apply to? That requires
what
everybody
do you
to
mean?
register their vehicles, automobile or not. Is it just made up? You're telling me that this is a statute that I'm about to quote to you, saying that you do have to register your vehicle, your automobile. And you
No,
do have.
you do not.
Sarah, listen to what I'm
Well,
saying.
it did start out. I have to say that whole thing of
Oh.
registration and license plates was
No,
the
let's Sovereign go.
vehicle anti-theft program, and it was voluntary.
Okay, Sarah,
That's where that whole
listen to
came
what I'm trying to say here. All right, just go with me. You said that you only have to register your vehicle only for specific purposes, for commercial purposes, right?
Correct.
Sounds logical.
According, who says that you have to do that? The states or the feds?
Very good.
Majority of it, even the statutes from several different states, have the same wording in their statutes.
Okay, so you
But
didn't
is
answer
it-
my question. Who enforces that requirement that commercial vehicles have to be
Okay.
registered?
Is that a federal law?
Federal, it's a motor carrier. You're considered a private motor carrier. Each state,
Wait.
like,
Sovereign, you know the answer to this. You talk about this shit every day. You awful quiet.
I'm
Is
letting
it
him
a
go
federal
here.
law?
I'm
that-
gonna-
Okay,
I'm
no,
getting
Joe,
into it.
Joe,
No,
Joe,
don't let him go.
let Sarah
it's
answer.
like this. This is how, I'm not saying every single state does it. I haven't I haven't really studied each individual state, but they're all they all kind of fall the same. And this is what it says. This is even what, okay, I live in Kentucky. I've read this in Kentucky statutes. I've also read it in Ohio. For non-business related transportation, now, even though it's a commercial motor vehicle, they go back and refer and use a gross vehicle weight for private transportation. And a private motor carrier can even, they can put stronger restrictions on the drivers, even than what a state may do.
Okay, so
But it's because it's its own private entity that can be operated commercially or privately.
So you
During
said you
private
read this, right?
operation, those do not apply.
Okay, so you read about this, correct? Where are you
Yes.
reading this from?
I'm getting every single bit of it from Federal Department of Transportation, which is why every single state has a DMV, BMV, Department of Transportation.
Because the states have the ability to regulate motor vehicles on their own
Commercial
roads.
transportation.
No, that all transportation, private or non-private, private and commercial. It says it right there. It says it in every. I just quoted. Oh, well, I was trying to quote to you in New Jersey.
Go ahead, quote it again.
But here's the thing. I was trying to, right, Joe? But then as soon as I started reading, she said, "No, that's a statute." So then I have to ask her. Well, where is she getting this idea that there's a commercial requirement of the states?
But thank goodness, I understand. But
I'm gonna go ahead. Joe, I'm gonna go ahead and read. Except as herein provided, every resident of this state and every non-resident whose automobile or motorcycle shall be driven in this state shall, before using the vehicle on the public highways, register the same in an automobile or motorcycle shall not be driven unless so registered. Now. To be very
Sarah,
clear. Now, I want to be
like that's very clear.
Now, I want to be also be very clear that there is a separate provision for commercial vehicles. So why would there be a commercial registration requirement and a separate registration requirement?
Yes,
because for licensing, even for licensing of motor vehicles, that is an occupational license. The same as it would be as if it was a doctor's license, someone who went to school and has to have a license to do hair. You don't have to get a license to put a Band-Aid on your child when they get hurt. But if you're acting in a corporate entity, you would have to have those licensures in order to do that. But if it's a private entity operating for non-business purposes, no money gained, you're going in your car traveling point A to point B, you're not required to have a license. And there is, I'm not saying that all over
Sarah,
a state. Sarah, obviously if you travel,
Sarah,
like,
except the statute I'm looking at.
You're not talking about drivers.
Driver or traveler.
Oh my God.
Driver in particular.
Here's the deal. Regardless of what these regulations are or agencies are that are the state establishes to regulate your rights, it is a deprivation of rights. It is an absolute deprivation of rights, regardless of whether it's a constitutional right or whether it's an unenumerated right. It is a deprivation. And states are coming up with all sorts of regulations to deprive you of your rights, and that's a fact.
Yes, we can all agree on that.
Archangel, can you tell me what right in the Constitution or listed in the Constitution of Bill of Rights is absolute?
The right, all our rights are absolute.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. Free
so I have the freedom to walk near a elementary school while they're in recess and blast some episodes of Pornhub with a bullhorn, and I have the God-given right to do that, and they can't do anything to me.
Technically, no, but under decency in that, I mean, you gotta. There's a balance.
What do you mean decency? Hey, hold on. Sovereign soul, unchained mind.
Hold on a second. It cannot just be free speech because it's speech that you approve of. Is that hold up a second.
Yeah, Archangel. He was talking about Archangel.
So what I'm getting at is this. That's in poor, terrible taste, and I think that people would object. Of course, they would want to say something. Should you have laws? No, and I'll tell you why. Because the next thing you know, you've got some little asshole that he's the arbitrator of what is decided to be offensive speech. Okay, so as soon as you get that, then you've put that into the hands of someone else who could be politically motivated, and usually are. Okay.
Right. So you're right.
We see this right now. So when we declared a war on terror, okay, there's an ever-changing definition of terror. It started out, it meant little brown people hiding in the desert.
Juan, you got this. I'm gonna get another drink.
Now it means people that wave a flag. So you got to be careful of that shit. It's dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. and that's the only options you really have. Unfortunately, with liberty and freedom comes some things that some people aren't going to like. But you know what? Get the fuck over it. It's way better than living in a cage.
So to
That's
answer
right.
the dude's question, you said the answer was no. But in what that long thing you just said there, you're saying the answer is yes. The school would have to tolerate it. I think your answer when you said no, not really, or some shit. But I think
No,
you're
that's what
saying
I
now the
mean. I mean,
school
it
must
shouldn't
tolerate
be
it.
anybody. There shouldn't be anybody. Nobody should be able to regulate that.
So
That's what I'm
so
saying.
I'm just
That
well,
should be
100%.
now from a
100%.
common sense standpoint, that should be self-regulatory because any kind of a decent fucking non-animal human being is going to not do
Right.
something like that.
But,
Much
well,
less even
All of that
think
shit you
Exactly.
said sounds logical.
here's the sad reality. We're a nation of 338 million people, and not everybody's going to have the same moral code as everybody else.
Because the actual morals, those things that come from God, the actual law, those things that come from our Creator that are inherent upon our inside, is that you don't do no harm, no foul. You don't create victims. You don't create
That is
cause
law.
harm or.
But hey, Juan, you're still here. Please go ahead. I feel like you haven't been able to say much of anything.
I just wanted to say,
does anybody want to hear from?
and Juan Galt, good to see you here, sir.
Thank you. Does anybody want to hear from a constitutional law attorney of over 40 years, who's litigated all the way up to the Supreme Court, who was 50 years ago a sovereign citizen, pseudo lawyer?
I'm totally down. I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Preach.
Is that true?
A lot of what has been talked about on the right to travel, we made up back around 1969, 1971. All these other people are just now discovering it and are parroting and repeating everything that we used to say. Everything we
I
used
hear
to
what you're
say
saying.
back
I
then.
misunderstood you. Yes, and you're not saying you made it up. You got it from some 1929, 36 law, some probably the same shit I read.
No, didn't get it from there at all. Made it all up.
Okay.
Just like earlier. Just like earlier when Artie was reading those cases and looking for those quotes in them, they didn't exist. They are made up.
Yes.
We made up a bunch of quotes, and we sold it to people, and they believed it.
Yeah.
Just like this lady right here believes it.
But
just like Archangel.
Not everybody.
Hey, John Galt. John Galt. I call bullshit. I call bullshit.
What Juan is telling you is that we have that right. We have unenumerated rights, and these rights are as numerous as the stars, and those are rights that we have to make them up. That is why the 10th Amendment includes the people. It's not just state police powers, it's the powers that we have. And if Juan wanted to tell the Constitution, he would include that.
Unfortunately, Archangel, you don't have anything to support what you just said. All you've got is your idea.
Do.
Absolutely.
No, you don't. There is not one. There is not one. There is not one.
Hold on, John Galt. First off, I'm going to call bullshit that you made up that stuff because I don't think you were involved at all. Secondly,
that's your problem.
Wait. Secondly, yes, you do, and they don't have to be written down on a magical piece of paper. Do you or do you not have right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Yes or no?
In the United States,
I don't. No. On fucking
Earth. That was a dodge, baby.
On Earth.
Well, let me
not?
He barely had enough time to say two words.
But endowed by your Creator, do you not have an inalienable right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Do you or do you not have those things? I'm not talking about some kind of a magical line drawn in the fucking dirt by some control freak. I'm talking about given to you by your Creator inherently.
Rights do not exist except from what humans agree they exist. That's why rights in the U.S. Just a sec. Can I talk? I
let
sat here
Let
quiet
him
for
speak.
almost an hour. I didn't interrupt anybody.
You're right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Juan.
Okay, first of all, you have to understand rights are a human construct. They don't exist in the physical world. They do not exist in the physical world. They don't have weight. They don't have color. It's a philosophy that
Tell you
people
what,
get to
mine have
people
weight
get
and
to
they have color because you know who enforces
Jesus
them?
Cristo, let
I
him
do.
finish, Sovereign, man. Come on.
Let him finish.
All right, sorry, man. I'm just saying, fuck. You know, you got to have some kind of magical power or some shit like that. Fuck that. You have that.
Let's hear his angle. This is new. This is
I'm
fresh.
listening. Go
Let's
ahead.
hear it.
I'm gonna get some coffee.
All right. Like I said, nobody can produce a right. They can't put it in my hand. They can't show it to me. A right is something that a group of people agreed that they will recognize and protect. That's why the rights in the United States are different than the rights in other countries like North Korea. You don't have a lot of rights in North Korea.
All right,
Okay.
Juan, real quick, I want to correct you on there because and this goes to your broader point. China and North Korea have a lot of these same rights on paper, but that's just it. It's all on paper. It's up to the institutions and up to the people to enforce those rights. I wanted to make that clarification.
That's what I said.
Can
The
I
rights don't
alone
exist. The
one-
rights don't exist unless they're able to be used. And in North
So
Korea,
Juan,
they
is there a
don't
such
have
thing?
they don't have the right to the internet. They're like we do. They don't have the right to.
Wait, Juan, back up.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. You said there must be rights or something that is agreed upon by multiple people alone. I alone in myself cannot say a statement like I have the right to live. I have the right to eat. That word won't even exist for me alone unless I join with others. Is that what you said?
I'm saying that if you're alone and nobody else is around you, you have the necessity to eat. You have the necessity to do
what would
things.
give somebody else a magical power to dictate whether or not you have those fundamental rights or not? Where does this magical power come from? Is there some people that are cut from a better cloth than me or something, or where does that come from?
Well, where do all these magical rights come from?
What do you mean, what magical rights? Just like Joe Cool just
You
said, that's
got-
not magical that you have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In
Who
other words,
says?
you have a right to.
Says who?
So it's basically this: a right is any action that you perform that doesn't cause any harm, any
Who
loss,
says?
or
Thomas.
any injury.
So is Thomas
That's
Jefferson?
what it is.
It's-
That's the definition of a right.
So
Right
do
there.
your
Let me
I've
add to
always
that.
thought it was that as well.
Sovereign? Do your
Juan.
rights come from? Do your rights come from Thomas Jefferson?
No, absolutely not.
But he's the author of. He's the author of your
that.
statement. He's the author of your
No,
quote.
no, he's not. No, he's not. He merely
No.
parroted natural law.
Before he was
He merely
born,
parroted natural
before he
law,
was
which-
born, people knew of natural law.
It's basically that. Yeah, he parroted natural law, and that's basically that you have your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Nobody has a magical power to tell you that you cannot pursue these things. No one has this magical power to limit you in these things, and therefore you cannot turn these inalienable rights into a fucking privilege
and then
in
whoever
order
the
to
mob
license
is
them.
at hand.
You got to understand the word license merely means that's a piece of paper. It says you can do something that's illegal. Okay.
Listen,
And fundamentally, those things are not illegal, but since they want to turn them into a privilege, and they can do that through the Federal Reserve note system. We're from the government.
Listen.
We're here to help.
Don't
They
jump
can
too
turn
much,
that
sir.
into that privilege, and thereby through that citizenship agreement and through that ownership, they can actually enforce these commercial statutes, because what they're doing there is that's coercion into contract.
No,
Okay, that's where
just a bunch
commercial
of-
law comes in.
That's
different.
a bunch of pseudo law.
There-
That's just pseudo.
there is a reason.
That has no
There is a
bearing.
reason why the framers said we hold these truths to be self-evident.
self-evident. Very
It
good.
wasn't
Very
government
good.
evident. It wasn't judicial evident. It wasn't legislative evident. It was self-evident.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
they
you
said
gotta
no.
ask,
Archangel,
Artie, is it
Archangel,
self-evident with you
Archangel.
that those things
I mean, we know that
No,
you
listen.
can't go
are
kill
Did you
people.
yours
did
without
you
man
just
telling you?
hear
The
what
ability to
Archangel said?
live, earn a meal, earn a living, eat. Those things are inherent even without a government. Those things are yours under nature. Do you guys agree with that? Are they self-evident?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, what Archangel just says, if you hear him again, he says,
Yeah.
they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Mhm.
They didn't
Yeah.
say they
Yes.
are self-evident. They said we hold these truths to be
Don't you?
self-evident.
But
This
that's
is our
okay.
this is
Let me
our
get this straight, John. You
this
don't.
is our
That's okay.
opinion.
You don't hold
enough.
those
Close
truths to
enough.
be self-evident. You don't hold those truths to be self-evident. So, in other words, I could grant myself magical powers and prevent you from doing things. You think that
You
that's
hold something
possible?
self-evident.
You keep
bro.
saying magical powers, but we're going in as Juan Galt likes to point out in a lot of his videos. Oftentimes, these arguments that we have that we deal with often go beyond what simple discussions about law and procedure and into political philosophy.
Of course.
We're getting directly into
Agree.
how are we operating ourselves as a society and enforcing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
and
We're
protect-
we're totally.
You
we're
say you
totally
keep
course we
saying
are. Of
you
course
keep
we
saying magic, right? But that's the whole
Right.
thing. Government
Well,
is
where that,
governments
Matt?
are
Where is that
formed.
magical power? Look at these magical powers come along with magical lines. For instance, right now I can smoke marijuana, but if I step over a magical fucking line because of a magical piece of paper in that little magical area, then because of this magical piece of
that goes
paper, now
against
what I've
everything
done
you
over
know
here,
as a
this
man.
is
And by
the
that,
magical
and
one
by
over here.
Sovereign,
and-
give it to me. Hey,
and by that logic,
that
and
goes
by
against
that
everything
logic,
you
your
know as a
rights, your
man.
inalienable
Hey, listen,
rights.
Artie, please.
Hold on, Joe.
All right, or
By
you
that
go.
hold on. By that logic, if you're going to say that these imaginary border lines are imaginary and they're magical, then by that logic, so
Yeah.
is everything that's written in the Constitution. The Constitution is literally words on paper. It's a
Well,
fucking
yeah,
parchment this
basically
big.
what
It
it is.
has
All
it
right,
has
all right.
Hold on.
has no more meaning than people give it, right?
Okay,
But that's
well,
the whole
let's look
foundation of
at
our
what it is.
government.
The Constitution has
That may
fuck all
be
to
true,
do.
Artie, but let
Hold
me
on.
ask. Let
The
me ask. Can I get a question in?
Yeah, go, Joe.
Thank you. Artie, do you feel like in one state, I'm just going to say what my man said, I'm just going to rephrase it. You're a good guy. Nothing's wrong. You're not an evil guy. You're a tax-paying citizen. And then when you cross 6 feet over the imaginary line that he is talking about, suddenly you're a criminal. You're a bad guy. Inherently, isn't that absolutely insane?
Because some man said so.
That shows you man has put that in your head, yeah? It's not a real thing. It's fiction. We do what man does. Agree?
Well, I don't know if you could. Well, you could say on a technical level, these are just simply imaginary lines on paper when it comes to borders, right, and jurisdiction. But these are also concepts that have been around for at least a couple thousand years. A couple thousand years of human history have understood the concepts of law, jurisdiction, territories, boundaries.
I understand.
But yes, if you want to boil it down, these are all right imaginary lines.
Insane as fuck. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want a full-on stateless society, then have at it, dude. Just go off on a international borders.
Well, there it is. State.
That's the only
state of mind.
option. It's some crazy shit, bro.
There's where it comes into a state of mind. What people don't understand about the Constitution is this. The Constitution has got shit to do with you except for the Bill of Rights. In fact, the Bill of Rights had to be amended into it. This is why they're amendments. They had to actually petition to have this added into the Constitution because it would have gave the government overreaching powers. The Constitution, this thing was done. This convention was done under armed guard to make sure there were no eavesdroppers. Nobody could listen in as to what they were talking about or anything like that.
No, they were
now, what
afraid
the
of
Bill
the
of Rights
British.
does is the Bill of Rights pretty much exemplifies inalienable rights. Inalienable means that not only can you not have them taken from you, you can't even give them away. And if you put them out into simple layman's form, which is basically what they're written in, it basically
trying
says,
to do.
First Amendment, you can say whatever the fuck you want. Okay. Second Amendment, you can defend yourself in any manner in which you see fit. Third
I see
Amendment.
that. I
You
see
know,
that
you don't have
didn't,
to let some motherfucker come up and say, "Hey, I'm the general of the army. I'm going to eat."
They're saying this we can take for granted that this is obvious. You know, we shouldn't
Right.
even have to write this down. This shit's
Well, it's
obvious.
not.
Is what they're
It's not
saying.
granting it. It doesn't.
Well, the federal.
grant it
Well,
to
that's
you.
what the Federalist said.
Exactly.
It's a list
Yes,
of shit
baby.
that can't be taken. That's what it is. It's a list of shit that
Yes.
can't be taken. Okay,
And
it's
yet-
not a list of shit you get. It's not
And yet
privileges
they took
given to
all
you
that
by the
shit, bro. I
government.
live in Illinois. They decide what you can have, what you can eat. You know, they took all that shit. It's a myth. You played their game. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting somebody.
So what I'm saying is that that's a list of shit that they can't take from you. Fundamental rights. Okay, inalienable rights.
They found a way though.
They had to put shit in there. Look,
Except
like,
even close to the
in the colonies,
even
and in
shortly
England-
after.
Hold on. In England and in colonies, this is interesting too, because what they did was like if you were a Catholic, you still had to attend Anglican church, like, and pay tithe because it was the law, because that was the Church of England, even though you were a Catholic and you still went to Catholic church. This is why they put that fucking shit in there. They limited the rights of the people. You have to understand when the whole thing that really set that thing off was when they tried to implement gun confiscation. When the redcoats came in and started seizing the armories at Williamsburg, and then news got north and they got there to Lexington and Concord, they were met with resistance, and that's what really set the shit off. This whole thing about having a constitution and all that was later on thought of, but the reality of it was these people were sick and tired of having their inalienable rights stepped on.
Of course.
Monarch.
Okay, so all right, Juan, go ahead.
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
like I tried to say, is the rights that are recognized in the United States and were talked about in the Declaration of Independence and then codified with the Constitution were something that the founders believed. Like they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Thank you, Persicity, for the 1999 super chat.
Our country was founded on, we believe these certain rights exist just because we're humans. For no other reason than because we're humans. Whoever created us. They didn't use the word God on purpose. They used the word creator because a lot of the writers.
I was not aware of that, but
a lot of the writers of the Constitution had the faith of deists, which they believed in a supreme being, but they didn't believe that supreme being interacted with humans. So, to say that the Constitution, for instance, is a Christian document or a document by God is wrong. I'm just saying that the people who formed this country decided that these are the rights that we're going to recognize as humans, and we're going to protect them from government.
I think inherent in the article itself, in the document itself, they are saying that there are other rights. We're just pointing out a few. Others exist, and we haven't put these in here. I would think that's they're not saying they got every fucking one the first time.
Here's the deal. What the framers said also is that we have the right to reject and abolish a government if we don't feel that the government is serving us. The purpose of the government, according to the founders, was for the purpose of protecting rights, not regulating our rights and freedoms. And that is where everything has been turned upside down, so that even the Constitution is no longer followed by the government. Now we have all these exceptions. Like
it's their greatest weapon.
Okay, so
like I was trying to say earlier, is there such a thing as an absolute right? Absolutely there is. But you know what?
Which one is it?
We're going to turn it around and we're going to say that there's not. You see?
Is there such a thing as a guaranteed right? There is not. Absolutely, there is these rights, but are they guaranteed? Absolutely not.
I mean,
Archangel mixed quotes again. It doesn't say that they have the right to reject or abolish it. It says it has the right to alter or abolish. And altering
and that's
is what
all
happens
I want to do.
And yes,
if you're abolishing it, you're rejecting it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but if
if
you reject it, you don't have to abolish it. You can alter it, has been done
You
numerous
can.
times through the
And,
amendment.
and with all due respect, it's not as if like that hasn't happened. New Jersey's constitution was remade in 1948. California's constitution was completely remade in 1960 or 1966. So it's not as if these the ability of the people to alter their governments isn't a thing. So,
but here's the problem with that, Artie, is that relies on a democratic system and not a republic. And so,
oh, for God's sake, here we go. Come on, man.
No, I was reading the thing.
So what do you define the distinction between a democracy and a republic?
Okay, well, let me just explain
I was
it to you.
looking that up yesterday. It's difficult.
How many people does it take to establish a state?
No idea.
What is a state? Is a state
enough people with the arms to enforce it.
To say it's a state.
To enforce it. So what you're saying there is
that may be a true statement, though.
It's all about force. It's not about
yes,
constitutional rights. It's all about enforcement.
Well, that's the whole point. The whole point of the Constitution, right, is to be a check on state power, because we understand, the founders understand that the state has the ability to abuse its power because generally the state has the sole monopoly on the use of force. Hence, why we have a constitution to limit those powers to ensure that the state doesn't abuse that monopoly, that monopolization of force.
But here's the problem with that, Artie, is then let's say you have 10 people who decide they want to form a state. Okay. Will your government respect that?
No.
Ooh, no chance, right?
No, you have to be accepted and recognized by the federal government to be a state in the U.S. Just like Alaska and Hawaii did back in '59.
Well, if we're going to go into Hawaii, understand statehood was forced upon them.
Yeah, so well, that's your opinion.
I think that's the big picture
historical truth. Everybody knows that Hawaii was forced upon them. It was a strategic location. The American government wanted it, and they went over there, killed the people, and took it. That's a historical fact. And
welcome to human history.
Against what the says. Well, this is what I'm saying. If the Constitution doesn't matter, if all these laws and rules that you're talking about don't matter, then when it boils down to it, we have anarchy anyways. So what have we lost?
Wait,
well, the Constitution. Really look at it this way. You really, if you think about it, most of us, we actually live in a state of anarchy throughout the day, most of our lives anyway. Because
how?
Well, let me ask you a question. Who in here doesn't rape, kill, burn, destroy, and steal because of some piece of paper where it's written that you can't? Or do you not do those things just because you don't think those are good?
Did I not already previously tell you that we are a country of 338 million people? And our small sample size is not indicative of the moral compass of all of those people.
All right, well, I'll get to those other people. See, that's always the fear, is those other people. That's where this always comes into play. This is how you sell it. Because can behave. Hold on a second.
Are you an anarchist?
Are you gonna let the guy talk?
Yeah.
Can I ask you? Are you an anarchist? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. No, I'm a volunteerist. Absolutely.
So anarchist. Got it. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Absolutely. Okay. So
more labels.
Yeah. This is everybody
labels. Maybe whoever said that. Well said.
here's the reality of it, though. Most of us, I think we can all agree. I don't know. Maybe there are some people out here in the chat or something that would probably commit heinous things if it weren't for the possibility of a penalty. One that comes to mind is like Chili. I've seen him often say, oh, you're lucky I believe in the rule of law, or else, and he gets all like he's going to be violent. So in other words, what he believes is that because someone of an authority has said that if you do this, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. That's the only thing that's stopping him from doing it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Myself, I'm bright enough to understand if I did something like that and nobody was around to witness it, I could probably get away with it, right? But
could live
I'm
with
not
myself.
that way. I rule myself, and the way I rule myself is as a wise ruler would.
Well,
with judiciousness, with unbiasedness, and with wisdom.
Yeah.
okay, well that's good. That's good
There
for
you
you.
go.
Not everybody's
right.
going to follow that same moral
Well,
code.
that's all well and good.
But his
Okay, so-
philosophy,
Because-
sovereign's philosophy requires that you do no harm to other people.
Okay, that's
So in his
cute. That-
philosophy, you get to exist in other people's philosophy.
well, that's
you do not.
adorable in a fucking utopian type of fantasy.
No, I'm not
But the
talking
fact of the
about
matter, but
utopia.
hold on. The fact of the matter is that there are some people on this planet who do not give a fuck and will take advantage of others if they have the means to do so. And there are going to be others
course.
out here other people out in this world who do not have the means to defend themselves against such people.
You're right. We join together and we form you must form a contract then. You must honor a contract when you join that group, right?
Okay, so
This must be
right
true.
now, do we have
You're
those
agreeing
things,
by joining that group to follow its laws.
those things that you just listed, Artie, about people trying to take advantage and getting over on other people and robbing and stealing them and shit? We have that right now, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's
Yes,
with
we do.
government, right?
Yeah.
That's with government. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Very
And,
good.
and we have a justice system to hold them to account, right?
do we though? Do we? Because here's what I'm wondering. With this supposed government, okay, with their monopoly on force, isn't it true that in most places, especially the higher the status of an area that it is, like Chicago, New York,
Uh-huh.
they have actually taken away the ability of the individual citizen, to be able to defend themselves against such wrongdoers.
Yes, they have, baby.
And
Okay,
so
even assuming arguendo, do you think that an 85-year-old elderly person who doesn't have the hand-eye coordination to handle a firearm, who's living by themselves, and if they get robbed, where are they going to get their recourse?
let me tell you
Without
something.
without
Let
the
me tell you
without the
something.
existing
Right.
institutions available.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you about a situation exactly like that. Happened back in
Colt
the early
45.
80s. Hold up. I used to live in
That was my
Detroit.
first thought.
I used to live in Detroit, right? And there was this old woman. She lived all by herself, an old black lady downtown, right? And somebody went in there and threatened to rape her and rob her and shit. She pulled out of her knitting bag a .357 Magnum, held that motherfucker at
There you
gunpoint.
go.
I
She
literally
made
just
him call 911. And then and tell them to hurry up, because if they weren't there in 10 minutes, to just send the fucking hearse.
okay. So if and I literally just gave you the example of somebody who has arthritis and doesn't have the means to hold on to a
And no
weapon.
gun can't use
And
a
you got no
gun, yeah.
neighbors, nobody looking out for him. Come on now, what's wrong?
That's
with
the way.
Do you realize
I
that
look
people
out
don't
for
give a
people
fuck
around
about
me.
your neighbors sometimes?
watch
Again,
my
this is
neighbors.
such a
You take
utopian
fucking
ideal.
chance. This
This
is
is-
life.
Have you never lived in New York?
No,
This is
I
such a
would
goddamn
never
New
live in a
York.
cesspool like New York.
This is such a
would never
utopian
live in
ideal that you
Chicago.
think that a neighbor's going to look
Live in
out for
Chicago
somebody.
now.
Well, why
Sometimes
wouldn't-
people are
Listen,
gonna
listen,
not
what's
going
wrong
to
with
give a
it? What's
fuck.
wrong? I live in-
Hold on,
I
Artie.
live in
What's wrong
Chicago,
with
bro,
people
and we
that they
look out
don't?
for ourselves. We don't have to call police. I haven't called the police. My neighbors, we look out for ourselves.
So
And
basically, if
I'm in
you
the
do,
worst of the
so
worst.
in other
It's
words,
not
if you
so
do not,
utopian.
in other words, if you do not have the physical means to defend yourself, you're at the mercy of anybody who can take advantage of you, who could physically
No,
overpower
no,
you.
that's the way it is
No.
now. Yes,
What'd I
that's the
just
way
say?
it is
Exactly
now.
what
They
we
can-
have now.
they can be
Take advantage of me. I
Except
cannot
that there's a
defend
justice
myself.
system, there's a police available to deter the crime and
No,
put these
no,
people
man.
behind bars. They can put them behind. They can put them behind bars.
Argument.
think
That's a poor
justice
argument.
varies from
Police
person to
don't go to
person.
jail, man. That's like
Police
fucking
do
players
not
and
listen. Police do not
Christ on
prevent
sale.
crime.
Justice for them.
Police do not prevent crime. Police are reactive. They are not proactive.
Oh my
They
God.
show up afterwards.
Do you
And here's the bottom line. We already have this, don't we?
do you
Okay, we
actually
have
think
this.
that
Well, listen,
do you
with
actually think
the
if in a
police-
voluntary society that it's not going to devolve into fucking mob rule and anarchy itself
Of
with
course it
people
will.
taking
Why
over?
wouldn't it? Why would it? Why would it? It's is it
Okay,
right
Because
now?
the
It's already
moment,
mob
because the
rule.
moment,
Well,
because the
it's
moment,
already- you already got
moment
mob
somebody,
rule through your
the
democracy.
moment somebody comes in and says like, I don't want to be a part of your society, and yet they have a fuck ton of food and they're not sharing it with anybody, but you have a lot of guns and you have a lot of people, you're gonna take that shit, aren't you? Because there's no consequence for it.
No. Because see, you're looking at it right there. What's
Some-
going to stop me from doing that anyway? What stops me from doing that anyway? You're assuming
Right
that
on,
I would
right
be
on.
Oh
that
my fucking
person.
God.
Come on.
You're assuming that without
Come
those
on.
magical powers and those magical pieces of paper and those magical people with special suits, that I'm automatically going to be that person. I could be
Yeah,
that
and you've
person.
never-
Hold up. I could be that person now if I wanted to. Why don't I? Because it's fucking wrong.
Because you know there are consequences to it. You can occasionally get caught.
No, because it's wrong.
What you don't think that
Yeah.
wait, you
Doesn't
don't think
have
that
to
if you
worry
go
about
rob your you don't think that you're going if you don't rob your
Yeah, I
elderly
want it
neighbor
done to
next
me.
door
Hold
that
up.
they're not going to call the cops and you're not going to be investigated and you're going to be not going to be held to account, or is it just because of the goodness of your heart?
Why
How many
won't
cops get
I
held to
rob
account?
my neighbor? You're
How
asking me
often?
why I don't.
No.
rob
Yeah,
my
if
neighbor.
it was legal, I still wouldn't rob my neighbor, even if it was
No.
legal, bro.
No, that's
You'd be
legal.
surprised. You'd be surprised what hunger and desperation will do to somebody's morals.
Legal and illegal are
I
fixed
wouldn't.
listen.
I used to do
Men
smack,
don't
yo. I wouldn't
differ
be
as to
surprised
what
at all.
things they call evil. They differ greatly as to what evils they deem acceptable.
I was dope. Turn up whoever mic that is, yo. Turn up.
You're
whoever
under
mic
the
that is.
assumption, Artie, that without these magical written pieces of paper and shit, that's all that's keeping me from being an animal.
I'm simply saying that without these institutions, there would be far more criminal acts than there would be right now.
Would you commit criminal acts?
Initially, it would be. That's
Would you,
probably-
Artie, if there were no laws other than God's law, natural law, no, well, let's just say there's no government. All right. Would you
Mhm.
commit crime against other people? Would
I
you
tried not
be
to.
First, the
violent?
definition of a crime would change
Would-
to
would
the
you
gate.
leave
Right now, we're
laws-
thinking crime is one thing.
Well,
We're thinking
loss
a criminal
or
is
harm or
someone who
injury.
crossed that imaginary line with
Wait,
ease.
but
He's a
who
criminal. We
who
have to change our definition of crime.
Okay, hold on, Sovereign. Who enforces those crimes against harm or loss? Right? What institution is in place to enforce that?
I do.
Okay, so
I do.
what if I don't have the means to enforce that law?
Well,
I
then
have
I'll
a-
help
I-
you-
I
I'll help
have-
you out.
I'll
help you out. Do you have a problem? Is there somebody
Wait.
trying to infringe on you? Is there somebody trying to impose harm, injury?
you
Hold up. Hold
so
up.
you'd risk your
in
life. You'd risk your life for a total stranger that you don't know, have no association with a firearm or something like that, against a potential mob who say they're going to take my stuff because they want it and they know they don't have any consequence for it. You're gonna
Sure.
you're
you
gonna
wanna know
pull
why?
on that.
You want to know why?
Yes.
Sure, I would. You want to know why? Because I would want you to do the same for me.
Well, that's
That's right.
Exactly, Joe.
that is
What's
adorable.
interesting What's interesting?
No,
is
that's what we
nobody
do. That's
here.
what I do. When I'm filming the police, I'm risking my life for niggas I don't know. It's the same exact shit. We do it now. And nothing's different. I have no authority. I have no power. People can do what they want with me. You stand up and you fucking fight, man. It's
I
the
mean,
same
it's-
shit.
I feel like you guys
stand up and
think
fight.
that's
Artie,
I feel like you think
kinda-
I honestly think you guys feel like your fellow man is far more altruistic than they really are.
Oh no! Listen, Artie. I think it's very
No,
condescending for
I'm
you
not.
to use the term adorable, but that's only a resistance to the thing of what I say all the time. You want to be the change that you want to see, right? So if I can be an amicable member of my community, know my community, and contribute back and forth with my kid. I mean, my neighbors and
It'd be a
I don't
reciprocated.
hang out with them, but I know them, and if they need something, boom, I'm there, right? So, and why?
Yeah.
Because they're there for me. Same thing.
Well, I find it interesting
And
that
Same shit
nobody,
in my
nobody
neighborhood.
here.
charming, but it's not that hard to do. It's not that hard to do.
Well, I find it
really
interesting
isn't.
that
It takes
nobody
very little
here
effort.
has ever lived under this system that they're saying is so great. Nobody has any experience about it. Now, people in the
Well, wait,
past,
and
hundreds
I
of
live
years
under
ago,
it.
lived under it.
I live under it right now.
When?
No, you
When?
don't.
What system?
Sure I
when was
do.
this system
I
great?
just told
When
you
was the
that I do.
system
I just
great?
told you that I do. I don't listen. The only thing you want to know what keeps me in check. Me.
I'm not talking about you. We're talking
then
about
what are
a
you talking
community.
about?
We're talking about a community of people other than you, maybe 300 million of them, who don't think alike, who don't act alike, and you think, and you've never lived in a society where
Who
there's
says we gotta
absolutely
think alike or
no,
act alike? Where do
absolutely
you
no
get? Hold on.
laws.
Whoa. Where do you get this idea that people got to think alike and act alike? All it is
I
is
didn't
this.
say they did.
All it
I
is
said
this.
they are diverse, and that's why there are laws for a standard.
Thank you, Vintage, for becoming a sponsor.
By.
Such
The people
as.
got together back in the
Well, wait a second.
the
wait a second.
Revolutionary War
Who
and
gives-
decided
who
they
gives-
didn't want to live under the divine
gives
right of
anybody-
kings.
Who gives anybody the right to dictate whether or not I live a certain way or not? If I'm not committing any loss, injury, or harm, then whose business is it what the fuck I'm doing?
Right on.
What if you endanger someone without harming them?
What did I just say? I said if I'm not committing anything of loss, injury, or harm.
Well,
whose
okay.
business
If
is
you
it of
endanger
what
them,
I
you're
do?
not there. There is no loss, injury, or harm.
Okay. So
But
I'm not
people
being
people
that way.
decided they
Hold on,
didn't.
I'm not
People
being that way
decided they didn't want you to be able to just act the way you wanted to act.
Well, why?
I mean, you're. It's like you think history began when you were born.
No.
People lived through. People lived through this. They tried all sorts of different ways of living.
They keep
tribes
going around in circles. They keep going around
socialism.
in circles.
To be perfectly honest, honestly, the more and more I've talked with voluntarists and other similar individuals in similar societies, oftentimes when I talk to them, they ultimately end up recreating government at the end of the day with extra steps, to solve some of these problems.
I'm
All
doing
right,
it in my head
first off,
every
to
day,
understand
bro.
what government means.
Every day,
Okay,
bro.
you first off have to get into understand what government means. It's governmentis. It's some control.
Oh, you've never
of the
lived
mind.
without
It
government.
exists.
Come on, give me a
It
break.
exists.
I, honestly,
You've never lived
the
without
sovereign
it.
soul, dude, you're right now. You're benefiting from the fruits of the current institutions that are in place.
Oh,
You agree with that one?
institutions? What institutions?
You'd
are you
agree with
talking
that
about?
one. Come on.
The
That
people
that
Freely
show,
on
you gotta
the,
go.
you're freely on the internet, aren't you?
Well, so what?
You don't
How-
have
You have a house over your
whoa, whoa,
head.
whoa.
You got plumbing.
I'm on the internet despite the fucking government, not because of them.
You got a house over your head, plumbing,
Yes,
utilities,
But he asked you,
power.
are you benefiting from them?
All of them
master
created and regulated by the very institutions that you despise.
No, wait a second. You mean to tell me that I got to pay that exorbitantly high interest rate and price for a home all because of our Federal Reserve System? Wow, thank you,
Oh,
government.
way to
I'm
move the
glad you fucking
goalposts.
helped me.
Way to move the
well,
goalposts.
you offered that $6.2 trillion fucking loan.
Wow,
Yeah,
non
that
sequitur.
helped
Thank you
a
very
lot.
much. I was just talking about how you're benefiting from the very institutions that you despise by living comfortably,
How am I benefiting
comfortably
by
with a roof over your head on the internet, debating with other debate bros right now about the nature of political philosophy.
Wait a second.
You're benefiting
How
it.
is government responsible for any of that fucking shit whatsoever?
They're
Are you serious?
responsible for your peace of mind. You know, ain't nobody coming over here because we'll crush any fuck.
You
They're responsible
you
for
realize
that,
you do realize that it was federal dollars that helped create modern computing, correct?
Federal Reserve, you mean
all
Federal Reserve
taxes
notes?
for the people's dollars, not
Microprocessors, transistor.
Oh, I don't know.
Hell,
any of
the
that at
fucking,
all.
Everything
the fucking
belongs to the
internet was
people.
started by the.
All of these things could come about without government. That's horse shit.
I mean,
All that
maybe
could
Chat
come
can
about
correct me. It
without
wasn't
government. There's
maybe
no
Chat
need
can
for it.
correct me. But
Like,
wasn't
most of
the
this
internet
stuff is
started
here
as a
to
DARPA
fight
initiative?
government.
Yes, it was. It was a government thing. The internet was. You bet.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Jesus fucking Christ. You gotta be shitting me.
It's a government thing because the government claims power over it.
No, the government
And I
gave
think
up
it went
their right. The
stubborn
government
and
gave up
but
their rights and gave it to the public many
yeah,
decades
the
government-
ago.
for the
But
But
the
it
military.
came
government teach
from
the
the
first man
government.
how to build his own shelter and build his own home. No, but and who gives the government power over the land? When I pay for a piece of land, I got to pay taxes on that land for the rest of my life. The minute I stop paying taxes on that land, it's not mine anymore. The government seizes it.
Yeah, then
Who
it never
gives
was
them the
yours.
power to do so?
Look
People?
on the death
We
threat.
do.
I have
We
no
gave
idea.
them the
This
power
just
to do
sounds
Right.
that.
wrong to me.
Right, the people did, yeah.
See, this
Yeah,
is
the
some,
people. Me,
No.
you,
Sounds
Sovereign,
insane.
Artie.
Right. So
Right.
So
Some
where did that?
people.
Where
Okay,
did
so
that
when we have a
magical?
different,
All right, there again. Where'd that
so
magical?
when we can't
fucking
agree
power
on
come
something,
from?
then what?
where
Where'd
your
that
where does
magical
your
fucking
where does
power
your
come from?
magical no harm, injury, or loss come from? They are just as magical concepts as it is the borders that
Wait,
we
it's
recognize.
magical? Hold on, that's magical. You think
What
that
It's
there's
a some.
so
to
you
some,
you can
yeah.
you can tell me of an instance where to do harm and injury
Yeah.
or loss to someone is
what
a,
is
good
what is
thing?
literally what is physically going to stop somebody
So what
other
was it
than
based on
you
the
trying to
Ten
put up a
Commandments?
fight to take your
Yeah, it's
shit?
going to a God
If they
and
have
God is
superior
gonna be able to-
firepower, if
Well,
they
then
have
I guess
superior,
nothing. I guess nothing.
then it's all
So what
magical.
stops them now? What
So
stops
then it's
them
all
now?
magical. Thank you.
Hold on,
You
wait
just-
a second. What's
you just
stopping
blew
them now? The same motherfuckers are coming after you anyways. They just got magic suits on. Get the fuck on. It's the same thing. What the
I
fuck? You're
think
just all
Hey,
you're doing
I
is
got a
giving
question
monopoly.
for Artie.
Hold up, all
I
you're
have a
doing is
question
giving a
for Artie.
monopoly to a gang. You're giving a
Artie,
monopoly to a
corporate
gang.
fiction.
That's all.
And
If
okay,
you're driving down the
Hey,
street,
man.
and
but
let's
under
just
your
get a word
magical
here.
worldview, it'll all be a
Yeah,
whole
no.
bunch of different smaller gangs. That's all it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. It will be. He's right.
Okay.
I
Go
have
ahead,
a, I have a
whatever that is,
question.
whether
I
you
have a
got an opening.
question. I have a
Isn't that
question
what
for
we got
Lonzo.
now?
Somebody was
Isn't
trying
that
to
what we got?
Jeebus, I
We got
think,
the
was trying
fucking
to get
Bloods
at.
and the Crips. We got the fucking Russia and the Ukraine and that shit. Isn't it the same thing? It's just
Good
bigger
luck,
fucking
Jeebus.
gangs. It's just the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
goddamn thing. What the fuck?
And
It's a big
yet,
territory war between big gangs. You got the fuddling commander in chief up there, rattling sabers
Exactly.
and other motherfucker over there in Russia,
Yes.
blowing up
We're just
pipelines
picking
and
which
shit.
gang. Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
it's just gang shit. It's
Okay.
the same thing. It's just
Well,
bigger gangs.
well,
You got
here-
a monopoly on gangs.
well, shit. If I had the choose between the current gangs that we have now, where I'm able to live my life in relative comfort and relative safety, or if I were in a stateless society where I'd have to contend with a number of other smaller and more dangerous gangs in my immediate vicinity, where I have to look over my shoulder every other day to make sure I'm not fucking robbed or killed.
Well, do you
I'll
live in a-
probably
do you live in a
take.
victim zone?
I'll probably
He-
choose
hey,
the
he
current
is
system
saying
we have, the
if I
current
gotta
gang
choose-
monopoly we have right now.
If
Well, let
I
me
gotta
ask
Look, it
you,
all
choose
boils
between
down
the
to who the fuck
Crips
can
and
beat
the
who
Little
up. That's
Rascal,
it.
I choose the
It's like
Crips.
this.
You feel me?
If me
I
and you
gotta
have an
choose between the
argument,
Crips and the Little
come on,
Rascals,
man.
I choose the Crips. That's what he's saying.
Oh yeah. Well,
Jeebus, go ahead and
If
say what
me
you're
and
gonna say.
Artie have an argument in the street, and
Hey,
no government whatsoever, it's just two men, right?
Yeah.
And this is how it started out. Like there was no government in the beginning of all things. Okay, so you got two
Right.
guys and they disagree on something. So what it really boils down to is who the fuck can beat who up.
Yeah.
That's it. I got power
It
over you
should,
because I
according
can,
to
because
Sob,
I can take you out if I want.
or,
And that's who we
You're-
get power over.
You're right.
That's based on fear.
Welcome to
or
welcome
you
to a
could be
stateless
of a higher
society.
nature, or you could be of a higher nature.
Higher
and say,
society?
hey, you know what? You got some shit that I need, and I got some
a
shit you
higher
need. Why don't
nature?
we work together? Why don't
Well,
we work
there it is.
together on this?
Oh,
Why don't
that's
we come to an amicable agreement?
well, that's sweet and all,
So
but
can
sometimes for
our
other
government get
people,
based in
for
do
other
no
people,
harm?
it's for some people, it's much easier to just take it from you by force.
Well, that's because they're
Artie's
fucking
saying
animals.
the
man.
money in his
Animals.
pocket
Yeah.
doesn't belong to him.
Artie, I got a
It
question.
goes
But that's my
back to the
point.
same people that
In my
allowed him
attempts
to
to
have it
do
in his
no
pocket,
harm, can
and that's cool
I'm
with you.
sorry. Can I
You're
have
okay with that.
can I have Sovereign's do no harm mentality and my eagerness to reform a government be based in do no harm to other people? That is the basis of my governmental philosophy.
Right.
Does it fail automatically? I'm asking.
Well, the thing is, it's this. It's just like that. Now,
No,
what
I
you're,
really wanted
what
Artie
you're
or,
speaking of. Hold
Juan
on.
to
What you're
answer that
speaking
one.
of, Artie. These people that are animals, and that's what they are. Okay. anyone that would have that mentality that they have a claim over somebody else's shit and they're just going to take it from them, that's an animal. Okay, so
and what do you do with that animal?
Oh, well, just a second. I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So when you live out in the desert and you have chickens, sometimes the fucking coyotes come up and they try to get the chickens and they try to kill your chickens. They try to dig up your water lines and shit. And you can't keep them away. So you know what you do? You fucking shoot them. Okay? Pretty soon you don't have any more coyotes coming around.
Okay, so what if the coyotes have guns?
Well, then that's the
like
that's
the cops and the
peaceful
like it is right now.
Dangerous freedom over fucking safe slavery. I was just about to ask you, do you live in a victim zone, Artie?
What do you mean by victim zone?
Like one of those places where you're not allowed to have a gun without the permission of the king and shit like that?
I have a firearm, if that's what you're asking.
Do you have to have a special paper granted to you by some other man?
Yes.
Carry?
New Jersey.
So you have to ask another man as a grown man to do something that a grown man should be able
What
to do
happens when that man tells you can't have that gun anymore, but he has a gun on his hip?
Well,
What do you do when you have a disagreement
give it up
with a
like a
cop in
good
your community and
Yeah,
and
well,
he
you know,
decides he doesn't like you? So then every time he sees you out driving your car, he decides he wants to pull you over and make up some bullshit reason. Then what do? Are you still gonna stand up for him?
Wait, are you asking that if I'm are you asking if I'm
you for some personal reason, and he decides that every time he sees you, he's going to follow you. He's going to lie and say, "Oh, well, he didn't use his turn signal, so now he's going to pull you over."
Sounds
like
like
he's
you
got some dope in his pocket. He's going to plant it under your seat. What do you do then? I'm asking you, in a hypothetical sense, what would you do?
Honestly, hypothetical
Because it
sounds
happens every day.
hypothetical. Jeebus, it sounds like you're giving us some personal history, dude. You have some beef? What's
No,
going on,
yeah,
man?
I know people that this has happened to, of course. But what happens when it happens to you? I'm asking your personal opinion. What would you do?
Hey, hold on a second. I'm just hold on, Jeebus. I'm just like Sovereign Soul, Unchained Mind. I don't.
Everyone. Now I'm asking
calm down, Chris. Krispy Kreme, calm down. All I'm saying is like I am like Sovereign Soul, Unchained Mind. I don't do any of that things. I live my life. I do my thing. And shocker, I don't have any interactions with the police.
Now you're fucking it off. I asked you a simple question. I didn't say that you do anything. I said, if for some reason your neighbor is a police officer and he decides he doesn't like you because you looked at his wife's ass for some stupid personal shit. Now he sees you out.
This is getting oddly specific, man. Are you sure this isn't personal history?
No, it's not specific. It's hypothetical. It's simply hypothetical. I'm asking you, and you're dancing around the question. I'm asking you, what would you do in that situation? That's all I'm asking. What would you do if a cop decided he didn't like you for some personal reason?
So in other words,
because that's what we're dealing here. We're dealing with feelings, right? Not law. Not if a person in charge of the law and he has authority over you decides that he wants to fuck you off for some reason or another, what would you do? How would you address that? Would you still have the same standpoint? Would you have a biased standpoint against cops? I'm just asking, what would you do if for some reason a guy just happened to not like you and he was a cop?
So
he decides
you're saying that you're
harass you every time he sees you.
Sir, if you're
I'm asking you, don't turn
it
back on me.
Let me answer the question. Krispy Kreme, calm down. Let me answer the question. So you're asking me.
Answer my question.
I'm answering the question. Jesus Christ.
No, he's calling me names and fucking
Crispy, calm down. Anyway, I'm gonna answer. So what you're asking me? What should I do when a corrupt cop has a personal vendetta against me? Okay, so I would probably see if I could file a complaint against him with internal affairs. If that doesn't work, Joe, cool. Let me answer the question. I'm answering it fully. I would do my best to record every interaction that I have with him. Every interaction that I have with him, so I make sure that there's a full record of what's going on between us. If I don't have, and if internal affairs does not do anything for me, I would take the video, post it on YouTube, post it publicly, post it to the media, post it to any avenues that I can, or move above internal affairs, move it to the county prosecutor's office, or to the attorney general's office of the various and other oversight institutions that are in place. If that doesn't work, there's always the court of public opinion by uploading these videos onto YouTube and posting this and sending this to media. saying, "Hey, this particular cop has said that he's had it in for me. He has been inappropriately
You can send that to the
stopping me."
media, and they're just going to play it because you sent it to them, right?
No,
Well,
No.
hold on.
I never
Hey,
said
Put on the news what's
I
not
never
something
said
else.
that they were, or I never said that they were, or
Hey,
weren't.
Artie,
I'm just saying that I'm
on
giving
board.
you the various. You asked me these questions, and you asked me what I would
Okay,
do,
no,
and
I'm
I'm giving
listening.
you what I would do.
All right, so
he
listen,
gave us-
Artie, I'm on board with that because I'll tell you what I did. This is my own experience, okay? So we had a problem with this sheriff's deputy out in California. We were in Inyo County, and this guy just thought his our little town was his little
It's always
Thank you,
a
Deacon, for
swing
the
town.
$10 super
you know,
chat,
he thought it was his little kingdom.
Yes.
and thank you,
Well,
Domestic Terror, for the
He pulled
$5.
some shit with us, and he pulled guns on my son and shit. And what I did was I knew how they always have this tendency to investigate themselves and find that they've done nothing wrong. And so
Oh,
when
yeah.
I wrote the complaint, I made copies of it and I had them notarized, and then I sent them certified mail. So I gave a copy to the sheriff, the undersheriff,
Okay.
the attorney general, the governor, the lieutenant governor, and one to each one of the county council representatives. So this wasn't going in the waste paper
I
bag.
want pieces of shit. They ain't gonna do nothing.
Oh, you want to
Yeah,
bet?
big
Next thing
shit.
you
But
know,
go
he
ahead.
was on bailiff duty. They took him off the road, put him on fucking bailiff duty and
All
shit.
right, very good, very
So
good.
that would you can do it that way. If you
There's,
get
I mean, there's also
enough exposure to it. You
There's
know what I'm
also,
saying?
again, I completely forgot. You could also go directly to your city council meetings. Any way you can do to publicize what's going on and providing substantive evidence, usually video evidence would be the best piece of evidence that you can provide. That's what I would do if I had to deal with a cop who had a personal vendetta because I looked at his wife's ass apparently one time.
Okay.
And
So-
that would be the
I
normal
was
thing to
waiting
do,
for you
right?
to
Okay,
revisit
so
that, bro.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but did-
Artie, I wanted
did
to
you
ask you
notice-
this. Artie, I wanted
Did you
to ask you
notice,
this
Artie,
on this front right
that
here. So
what you said you would do is exactly what we talked about that old woman doing as well, seeking help from others. So
yeah.
all you've done is exactly what you rejected for that old lady example that you gave earlier on. So
no,
I mean,
no, Archangel. I went to ask help directly to the various oversight and various institutions that could actually do something. I didn't resort to vigilantism. I didn't decide to get a bunch of my homies to ride with me so that if the cops stopped me the next time, we would all outnumber him and outgun him.
You did.
And probably
That's
kill
what
him.
The public opinion.
That's
is.
not what. That's not. That's
what the
that.
court of
I.
public
So I.
opinion is.
So I don't
That's
think it's. I don't
exactly
think it's
what
an
you
apt
did.
comparison.
Modern day court of public opinion.
What
I don't think it's an apt
It's
comparison.
perfect comparison.
I wanted to ask you. You're on that. You were telling me you have a permit and you carry a firearm. And I respect that you carry and shit. That whole licensing thing. That's another. That's another
Well,
thing.
no.
altogether.
I can't carry. New Jersey's a bullshit de facto non-carry. Well, no, actually, no. The Supreme Court actually rejected that. The Supreme Court struck that down. So
More
never mind.
magic. More
So
magic.
anyway, what I was going to get at is, like right now, right this moment, if someone was kicking
You're
your
welcome,
door,
Artie.
if someone was kicking your door in intent on doing you harm right now at this moment, what would you do?
I would get my gun, yell at them, saying I got a gun. If you want to come in, I'll be prepared to use lethal force against you. And if they keep on coming in, I'll shoot them.
Okay. So then,
You'd-
there's the
you'd
police.
send
So then what? The police come afterwards, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They weren't outside your door, guarding your door or anything against that. Yet the
Hopefully not.
monopoly on force was still pretty much in the hands of the police, who were primarily reactive. And it was up to you, who went through the difficulty of getting a hold of a firearm to be able to protect yourself. So you see what I'm saying is the fact that the government in spite of its
But here's the problem.
rhetoric that it's there to help you,
And what I
has
keep on
actually hindered, and it's much worse in other places. There's places where they can't have a firearm at all.
But here's the problem that I'm having with that is that not everybody has the physical means of being able to carry and use a firearm.
Well, get a samurai sword or something.
Oh
I
my
mean, it
God.
says arms. It doesn't.
All right,
say
there's
gun.
not a. I don't. I mean, I guess
You know what I'm
weeb
saying?
culture is taking over the U.S., so I guess you could find yourself a samurai sword a lot easier these days.
Well,
I don't know.
No, what I'm getting at is this: is that a lot of people want to mistakenly think that the Second Amendment is specifically written about guns. It says arms, and that's any means of defense.
Very
in my
good.
book, and in my book, anything is a weapon if you know what you're doing. So that being said, it comes back to that whole other thing. This is part of the whole thing, is that by not being in a community, not kind of knowing your neighbors and looking out for one another, keeping an eye out and shit, realizing that the woman across the road's alone and she's widowed and she's 85 years old. We check up on people like that every so often. Hey, Mrs. So-and-so just came by to see
Same
if you
here.
wanted some bread
Take
or
on
whatever.
plates and everything. Yeah.
Those days
right.
they've purposely made that you're some kind of a square or you're a do-gooder, God forbid, if you do things like that. And this is something we need to bring back into the community. This is something we need to bring back, is that we're stronger together. If they've got us fighting with each other over every goddamn thing
Agree.
and relishing in
Damn
our
versus
servitude and
Republican.
slavery,
That kills me, bro.
oh my God, it cracks me up, because so often I see people who are like, yes, okay, we need to get our liberties back. We really do. They've really put some shit over on us, and we need to establish our status once again as we were before this whole big fucking bankruptcy takeover. And
Yeah,
I
but
think
you
like
do- you
people
do-
like Artie, with your knowledge and shit too, you could actually help with that within the guidelines of it, instead of just going, oh, look at that fucking idiot and shit. Because when you really get down to it, they really are putting a fucking on us all,
Well, what you're talking about is all
Artie, you'd
political
agree with
stuff.
that, right? Artie
You're
would
talking.
agree that
You're
there are
talking about
shortcomings,
changing
I'm
a
sure.
political system. You can't do what you just said you wanted done in a court of law.
No, you
That's
can't.
the
You know
point.
how you do it? You know how you do it, man? You just stop. You just fucking stop. It's like, look, we're not doing this anymore. This is fucking stupid.
Who? Yeah, but are you going to get 330 million people to just stop?
I would like
Are you
to.
going to? Are you going to get? Are you going to get 50 people in your town to just stop?
Man, I would love to, because look, we've been
But-
doing revolution after revolution, revolving around in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. And what do? We get a little group of assholes and we put them up there, and they promise to be good assholes, right?
So have
But-
you got?
hold on.
Have you convinced 50 of your neighbors yet?
I've convinced at least 50 people. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Because-
well
Yeah,
that's not enough to accomplish anything.
Well, wait a second.
So have you got?
Hold on,
Have you
hold
got?
on. That's
Have
where
you
you
got
come
a?
in,
Have you
John.
got?
That's where you
Have-
come in, John. Your name.
How do I come in?
love your name. I read that book, man. That is Who is John Galt. Yes, take
You
that
got
fucking
it.
shit
You
away
got
from
it.
that crap. You see what problems government create for the private.
And I
industry,
live.
the
I
private
live
man.
in Galt's. And I live in Galt's Gulch.
You see
I
that?
live in a totally remote, totally self-contained,
All right.
totally
So,
off.
what I'm getting at is, so now you take it forward. Just listen to what I'm saying about this, right? And it is
No,
kind of
let me
like
tell
John
you- let
Galt's
me-
message.
No,
It is
let me
kind of
tell you
like
something. Just a second. You're assuming facts, not an evidence. For
Well-
50 years, I have been preaching what you're talking about to people. For 50
Right, but for
years,
50
I've-
years,
and
for
and
50 years
people-
the spell was
people
heavy.
people aren't accepted to it. It
No,
scares them.
no, what you're
It
missing
scares
out,
them.
John,
no.
what you're not taking into account. The veil is lifting, man. People
No,
are, I'm not
I've
kidding you.
been hearing that for 50 years, but
Oh,
now
no.
we have
It's more
people
evident
wanting-
now than ever. It's more
No, it
evident
isn't.
now than
It's-
ever.
the contrary. It's the contrary.
I mean,
Juan,
I'm seeing
I
less
wish
and
you
less
were
people
right.
bamboozled. I'm
Juan
seeing
Galt,
less
I
and
wish
less
you were
people
right.
bamboozled by the propaganda news
oh my God.
than ever before. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, they're just
Juan-
like, they're not buying none of it. They're not buying none of it, and they don't know what to fucking do
Then
about it.
why are people wanting the government to get universal income and
Where
they
did
want
you hear that?
universal.
Hold on, wait a
universal
second.
Wait, you don't think UBI isn't gaining popularity?
I don't know. Are you for it?
Me?
No.
I'm on the fence for it. I'm on the fence with
How about you, John? Juan?
I'm against 95% of what the federal government does.
All right. How about you, Joe?
I'm not interested.
Yeah, Archangel for Truth.
0.
Okay, Jeebus.
Hell no.
Well, that doesn't look like everybody, and that's 6 people polled right here. I guess.
Wow, in the most unscientific poll on earth.
Yeah, but you're doing it in an
What I'm saying is, my point being this is you're being told that people are going with this, but where's this information coming from? It's coming from known fucking liars.
Oh my God.
Has the media lied to you before? And if so,
That's
have
all
they
they
lied
do,
to you more than
constantly.
once?
So because the general media has lied before, everything the media says is a lie or concocted.
Hold on a second. It's not just lied
Absolutely.
before, they have lied continuously. Continuously.
Yes.
You understand that's then nothing can be verified.
Nothing can be trusted. You have to really look into it. That's the point.
But but it all depends. It all depends on where you're.
But I verify.
It all depends on what sources you're relying on and where you're getting this information, right?
Well, let's look at
Get it everywhere. Fuck the source. Get it everywhere.
Let's look at one of the most.
But no, the source has to matter. If I'm not going to believe that the Earth is flat from a YouTube video.
No.
I
want to say that you hear their argument.
Haven't you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird?
Well,
Yeah.
Haven't you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
What about
Okay,
routers?
what is Operation Mockingbird?
Operation Mockingbird was uncovered in the church hearings in the 70s when they asked about the embedment of CIA agents into news organizations to disseminate propaganda into the news cycle.
That's
They
right.
had infiltrated 85% or something.
Yep.
No, 100%.
They're still doing it.
99% they'd infiltrated. I think it was
Well, look at
99%.
Reuters. Reuters news agency. This is the big fucking wire service, right? Where did they start out? That's Rothschild. That's where he got the
I didn't know
information.
that.
That was the courier service he had that he got the information first.
But
about
listen,
Napoleon's
all
defeat.
information we gotta assume is tainted, right? I don't give a fuck if
It's gonna
Stephen
be-
Hawkins is writing it. I don't assume this shit's correct, man. You verify from other sources. The more sources open available to you, even if they sound crazy as fuck, I need access to them sources because
Right.
I may see something different than you see.
That's all well and good, but that's not what outside this echo chamber we're in right now. Outside of here,
No.
the trend is against us. That's the point I'm making.
Well, the thing is that
If
I'm
we all
seeing
stand up
more and more
for it.
people that when I expose them to this whole idea, and it's like this, I say, look, because I hear a lot of talk, and everybody has, and there's going to be a civil war or a revolution or whatever here pretty soon, and what's going to happen. And
Yeah, okay.
all that. And you hear a lot of that, and I'm like, you know what? No, we don't need a revolution. We could do this without violence, and it's real simple. Like I said, a stop.
The government
Okay.
won't allow it without violence.
Well, there again, there pops into my whole non-aggression
dope.
theory is like that. It's that of a porcupine, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. So it's like this, man. They'll find a little group of assholes and they put them in charge and they promise to be good assholes, but then they eventually become super assholes and the people get mad and they light their pitchforks and shit on fire and they go down to the castle and they say, we're gonna fuck you up, get out of here. And they revolt, right? And so then they put it in another little group.
Pretty soon their assholes become a black hole and sucks everything up.
Yeah. Well, what if we just went, look? I mean, it's real simple. It's real simple in concept, but the whole thing is, and like I see a lot of people exhibit that. It's like, well, yeah, I can behave myself and act justly it's everybody else that I'm worried about. Well, we've already got
Everybody
everybody
has that
else
opinion,
anyway.
right?
You've got everybody else anyway, and they're operating freely, regardless of magical pieces of paper with magical words written on them.
Right, because
they
we have
don't
the
give a
existing
fuck.
institutions in place, right?
Well, the
And-
thing is, if you're gonna have, like, for instance, let's take a look at these gun-free zones. This is always where these shootings happen.
And you don't, so you don't think that? So you don't think that
the guy didn't give a shit about the law about not being able to take a gun in there because, you know, what the fuck? Oh, I can't kill those people. Guns aren't allowed in there. I mean, is that really what people are thinking is going to happen in the guy's head? I mean, that's just a victim. That's just a crime and empowerment zone.
So do you? So do you? So you don't think that if there was no system of policing at all tomorrow, that the local Family Dollar that I have there isn't going to be looted the next day?
I don't think it is. No, I'll tell you what. Why would it be?
Okay.
Why would it be? Well, no, I mean,
because there's too many motherfuckers just
if the
under this brainwashed system.
Because if people can take food and supplies without having to pay, people are going to do that. And if there's no consequence for it, a lot of people are going to do it.
Do you remember the LA riots?
What about all these? What about all these cities like San Francisco and other places that have decriminalized stealing at a certain level, dollar level? When they pass those laws, what happens? These retail stores were just flooded by people running in there and grabbing up $900 worth of shit, so they wouldn't.
The answer is the stores increased their price.
Well, you know what the real answer should be.
Well, the point I was making is if you decriminalize things and there's no consequence to the thing, people that you may not expect are going to take advantage of it, just like we've seen them rush into these stores and steal them blind.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So we're going to go back to the fucking raising chickens again. Okay. So now what we've done is we've taken away the farmer.
I like chicken.
We've taken away the farmer's fucking gun and his ammunition.
I got 40 of them.
So what you're hold on. So let me put it this way. So in other words, we're going to bring back armed security guards at Target to prohibit shoplifting, and if they could shoot you, right? They had the threat of shooting you for shoplifting. Is that the solution?
Business, yeah, absolutely. Why not?
So somebody taking.
Would you steal from a store that has that policy?
So all right. So lethal force is authorized if you take a pack of gum. All right.
Sound like the
and if there's no institution, right? If there's no oversight, if there's no hold on, Jeebus, calm down. If there's no oversight that against these security officers, who is going to hold the security officer to account if they get something wrong and they shoot somebody who wasn't stealing? If there's no institution to hold them to account,
you're assuming
so that they will be handled accordingly.
You're assuming that
by what? By who?
What?
The company?
You're just gonna reach into a box and pull out a random guy. Hold on a second. You're just gonna reach into a box and pull out a random guy to be your security guard? Really? Isn't there like an interview process and shit like that? So you're not getting.
What's it matter? Who required? What's it matter? What's it matter if you need to do that? What? If you're strong enough and you have a gun and you're willing to take the money, what's it matter if you get higher muscle to protect your store?
Well,
who enforces training? Who enforces the security?
Calm down, Artie. Calm down now. Calm down.
Hold on, wait a second.
Crispy, it doesn't work when you do it. All right, it doesn't work. So
all you're doing now is going on and calling other armed men to do what you could do yourself.
Right. So you have armed men versus potentially armed looters, and then you're going to have mob rule and anarchy, where people are killing each other, for supplies, right?
Wait. Hold on a second.
And collateral damage.
And collateral damage.
So it's not.
That's what we do now. Someone robs your house, you call the police, you
All right,
call armed men in
first
there.
off,
That's what you do now. You're describing the system
There's
we live in.
no and you're wait, excuse me, there's no such thing as police in our system. It's going to be bodies left on the floor or in the parking lot of a Target.
No,
and
he
the
just called them
aftermath.
by a different name. Those armed men that he called, those are equivalent to the armed men we called. He's
Well,
just calling them a different name. Those
Well,
are
yeah, exactly. The point is what I made earlier is that eventually, when you do this voluntary type of hypotheticals, you eventually recreate the institutions that you want to get rid of in the first
I
place.
think you're right. I think you're right. That's
So-
inevitable, bro.
bottom
It's
line,
happened. It's happened over and over again.
my
throughout
point being,
Right,
point-
many
my-
men
all
have
right, so
tried
now,
this shit.
in
Yeah.
the system that we have right now, the guy comes in and he holds up the store, he robs it or whatever the fuck he does. And then after it's
Yeah.
all over with, right? Then after
Yeah.
it's all over with, you get a bunch of these fucking guys come in with these suits on, right? And that's going to make
Yeah.
it all better now, right? Wouldn't it have been better if
Yeah.
you didn't fucking have a monopoly on force and you allowed the person to have his own individual protection? That you allowed the people that are walking around to be able to defend themselves in a situation like that? I mean, that's the answer to it. They want the monopoly on force, but then don't want to deliver on it. They present themselves as a proactive service when in
Right. I
actuality
understand where
they're
you're
not.
going
They're a
with that. I understand
repressive,
where you're going with
reactive
that.
service.
Yeah.
And half the time you call 911, they show up, they're liable to shoot your fucking dog. You know, it's like they're just out there like they're at war with the people. And that's got to go. That kind of whole thing's got to go.
Man, I mean, I don't know how often you've had to deal with them, but I've never had any negative interactions with the cops. If we're going to start going with our own personal experience, though.
Oh, I've had some good.
Well, you got
interactions
you
with
got the
cops,
right
but I'll
guy
tell
up
you,
here.
I've had others where they're just
Yeah,
total
I've had
fucking
nothing
power
but. I
tripping
live on the
cockbags.
west side of Chicago. I've had nothing but negative experience. They've been talking to me like I was a piece of shit since I was a kid, and putting cases on motherfuckers, torturing motherfuckers,
my point-
out of my neighborhood.
No, I
Joe
understand.
Cool, I've spent a lot of time in Chicago. He's
Joe,
got a
I get
point.
Joe, I get that, but my point being is that we can't let our own personal biases reflect on a broader narrative of what we want our institutions to be and how we think our institutions operate.
gotta try to
Institutions
kick
are
them out.
supposed to be a service, okay? They're
Right.
supposed to be a service at our disposal, not our repressors, not
Not
our
our,
rulers.
rulers,
This is
yeah.
fucking bullshit what we got going on now.
Yes, it's
Um,
quite obvious they think they rule us.
They do.
And I
And
think we
it's
can
I don't
all
care
agree
if
on
you
that.
fuck up.
It's become
Again, you're getting that. You're basing that
off.
off of your own personal biases. Yet I've never experienced any sort of jackbooted authoritarian policing in my experience. I could be privileged, but I understand that. This is- but-
check this out though.
I
But
never
you
have
know, I
either, Artie.
traveled.
But you see, my point.
I've
My
been
point
traveling
is
the
that you're
country for
basing all of this on your own
years.
personal
So you're saying
biases.
that your,
But listen,
your
I wanna
opinion's
give you a
not
little bit
biased
about
based
my
on the fact that
personal
you haven't
opinion.
experienced that.
No, I'm
You're
well
okay.
aware.
Let me give
I'm
you a
well
little
aware
about
that I'm well aware
You're
that
just
I
as
have a
biased as
personal
anyone
bias.
who has experienced it.
I'm well aware that I can have a personal bias based on my interaction or non-interaction with the police, but so are you.
We all.
But once
do.
again, we go back to the men
Artie.
don't differ as to what things they call evil, just what evils they deem acceptable. So who gets to
agreed.
decide?
See, that's
Who
like
gives them the right to decide?
It goes back to
Complaint
sovereign
with
do
it
no harm
is
theory.
why you don't have a problem with it, because you don't have to deal with not being compliant to it. So yeah, of course you're not going to have a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, well,
That's-
yeah,
that's the problem.
yeah. You know what? Shocker. I pay my registration. I renew my license, and I pay my exorbitant property taxes.
Yeah,
And
as do we,
But
because
yeah,
we fear the
that is
consequences.
theft.
But
That
like
is
I
theft.
said, let that one experience happen to you that will change your whole world around, and
Hey,
you know,
the difference is
can't
we
judge
do it
them.
because we fear the consequences. I think he does.
What?
it
So you're saying
differently.
that laws do have a deterrent effect? Thank you.
Well, wait a second. Those aren't laws. Those are Artie.
no, I never said
Artie,
they
those
didn't.
aren't laws. Those are
No.
legislation. Those are legislation. Man cannot create law.
So but fear of the consequences does
Yeah,
have an
that's
effect
called
on
a
human
monopoly on
behavior.
That's called coercion.
Of course,
That's
of
called,
course it does.
It is.
That's called extortion.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
coercion.
God.
Hey, do this or I'll come beat you up. pay me for protection, or
like
I'll
I
come
said
bust your
before, it
store
all
up.
narrows down to who can beat who up, who has more power over
You're
who.
right. It all
Who
comes
gives
down to a
who the power, who
monopolization
uses.
of
So,
violence. I agree with you,
Right.
Divas. I haven't disagreed with you yet.
So why would anybody want to capitulate with a monopoly on violence against them?
Because
Why
the
would-
point,
why would
because the
that
whole
be
purpose.
okay? Why,
because the-
if somebody doesn't roll over to that bullshit, and if somebody says, no, I'm not going to sit on the fucking curb, I'm not a dog, why is that a bad thing? That
it all depends on how much fear you have in your heart. That's
Because the
going to
whole-
you to comply, or you choose not to
Agreed.
comply.
Because
it just
the whole-
depends on how brave you are.
Okay.
If you're
In
a
some
coward,
ways,
then of
yeah,
course you're
some
going to
ways.
roll over and let these things apply to you because
What
someone's
gives that
forced it on you.
motherfucker
Or how
All right,
You don't want a
fed up
conflict.
you are.
All right, settle down, David Koresh. Hold on. My point is that you need to understand that when you have these institutions in place, the whole point of a constitution, the whole point of these constitutions is to have a check on that monopolization of state power. That's why we
Okay,
have
but
these
you have
checks.
laws that are going against the Constitution.
That's what
So,
According to whom?
according to the Constitution
anyone
and the
needs
laws.
this-
No,
Right?
Jeebus, it's
Law
according to your
enforcement, we have
personal
judges
opinion that you think
making
it's
laws.
objectionable to the Constitution.
But
Well,
he's,
if it's
he has a
objectionable
right to
to the
that
Bill of
opinion,
Don't
Rights,
Marty.
judges make laws
He has
under the
a
Constitution? Judges
complete
can't
right
make
to
laws.
his
Don't
opinion,
judges make laws?
just as you have a right to yours.
The the judicial branch is charged with the authority to determine what is and is not
All right, I'm going to
constitutional.
give you.
Not you.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm
no,
just
but
gonna-
I can't.
I hear you. No,
I can't
agree.
arbitrarily
Fucking,
determine what is or is not
went through the-
constitutional
I agree
based on my
with
own
that.
personal
But
opinion.
what I'm saying is, okay, put this into your head. An average person goes out, he sells somebody drugs, he gets caught, he goes to jail. He goes straight to jail. The judge judges him, he goes to jail, he spends 5 years in prison. What happens to a cop when he gets busted with drugs? He gets put on leave, paid leave, while they investigate him. He goes to jail for a couple days. He gets bonded out because the judge is in his favor because they all work for the same system. Now, hear me out. Now, what happens next?
You're right so far.
Does he get fired from the police department? No. They give him the opportunity to resign. There's no shame that he just gets to go on and just live his life. He doesn't go to prison.
Right.
He doesn't get held accountable the same way we do because he has that immunity. Now,
Oh, my bad.
Is that okay?
Dude, I'm
No,
so
this has
dude,
happened.
No,
It's happened
Jeebus,
right here where I live.
Jeebus, I'm so sorry. I apologize for giving you the impression that I thought that there was no fucking flaws in our current system.
no,
Okay.
I get it. Oh,
You
Well,
people
you
are
I never once argued that our system in place currently is perfect. Of course, there are flaws in the system because guess what? These institutions are run by human beings with biases.
Well,
And if there weren't flaws, I wouldn't have had all the work I've had in my life.
Now the beer's kicking in. Now we can relate.
we really gotta focus on to where this thing actually got to the change, and it's some of the bullshit that it's got us trapped under, and all of us, regardless on what side of this thing you're on, you're still trapped by these fucking things right here, these Federal Reserve notes, man. This thing has got to go. Unless, and if I'm serious, man, unless
it
we
cannot go though, right?
Honest
But
money
listen, you
supply.
got people who think dramatic shit like that will crush the system. It'll make it fall so that this is going to kick in. They're not even going to consider anything that drastic, right?
Well, that's
Artie,
the thing,
he just
is they
went
don't really
conspiracy. Am I
understand
right?
this isn't-
When he
this
went
is
to that
nothing.
BS currency shit, Artie, didn't he go conspiracy and your brain locked and you was like, this nigga going loony right now?
I mean, as soon as you go into things about the Federal Reserve, I've heard it all before.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a fucked up shit that happened. I mean, even Woodrow Wilson said after he was blackmailed into signing, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, I fear that I have given the great power that was once in the hands of the American people into the hands of a few willful, greedy men. And he was absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, you can take a look at just this is in itself is fucked up inflation. If you look at just the last 100 years, in 1920, 1925, an ounce of gold was like $20 an ounce, and now it just closed the other day. I think at high 1600s. Now the gold didn't become any more valuable. It's that your fucking purchasing power of your dollar has diminished that much, and especially now you're gonna see it skyrocket. I mean, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, so we can't help but notice this economic fucking problem that we put y'all into. So what we're gonna do is take out a massive $6.2 trillion fucking loan with high fluctuating interest rate in your name. And then you'll get $600 if and when we're fucking ready to, and the rest of it's going to be laundered through Ukraine and
you
shit.
got to jump through some hoops for it too, yeah.
Yeah, and then oh yeah, by the way, you're responsible for the full 6.2 trillion added to the 30
right, you
trillion.
and your kids.
Yeah, and people just tossing that number around. I mean, 1 trillion seconds is almost 32,000 years, man. And they're just tossing that shit around, and it's like, we got to get rid of this. If we don't have a tangible fucking honest money supply, we can never get out from underneath the corporate fiction.
I mean, America's GDP is like what, 15, 20 trillion dollars. So yeah.
Well, that's going to change now because Russia has, and I just saw somebody else make a move on it too the other day. I think it might have been Turkey. First, Russia attached the ruble to gold, albeit a small amount.
Okay.
And once that gets concreted in, then he can set the price of gold at whatever he wants with the ruble. Now, where that's the problem is because the rest of these oil-producing nations are using the Federal Reserve note. In other words, they have to, and OPEC, if you want to buy OPEC oil, you have to first buy Federal Reserve notes and then purchase the oil. Well, now Turkey just said, no, you have to buy rubles in order to get our oil.
Really? Because I assume that's why Saddam was killed.
Saddam sold his oil for the euro.
This talk has been going on since the early 70s after the 73 oil embargo. They started talking about what's called a basket currency. They were going to take a few dollars, a few pounds sterling, a few wands. And now it's progressed to the point that we have these big countries that are now challenging this petrodollars that OPEC has now. And they're trying to advance that through connecting their currency with gold, for instance, as a way to get people to use their currency. The result would be if, in fact, OPEC decides to jump off the dollar and says we're only going to take rubles or something like that, all of those dollars will flood the market, and a loaf of bread will be $300.
Yep. See, my uncle grew up and was coming. He was a late teenager in the Weimar Republic when that was going, and he was later.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, that was Germany prior to Hitler.
It was
massive inflation. It was insane.
It was interwar Germany.
Yeah, he was telling me that you would get paid daily, and you would rush out to spend all your money before the shops closed because it would only be worth half as much the next day.
Ooh, and the thing today, the fallacy of trying to connect a currency, let's say our currency in the U.S. with the precious metal, the fallacy of that is the big guys own all the gold and silver,
right?
And
they
can make it just as worthless as they want to. They did it in the crime of 1873. They did it with silver.
Very good.
So it's not what you use for a currency, because England became the most powerful country on the earth and just using sticks as currency for 700 years, and it worked just fine. And it was just sticks. It's not what you use for a medium of exchange. It's who controls the quantity of it. Whoever controls the quantity.
Did you ever get paid with sticks?
I'd say we need to go back to using Nuka-Cola bottle caps, but that's just me.
Hey, they had to gravitate away from the sticks because there was people having too many sticks in their wallets, sit down and
Too
sodomize
easy.
themselves and shit.
No,
you
you
know?
don't understand. Obviously, you're showing your ignorance of what tally sticks were.
I'll
If
just
you do a
fucking-
little research, learn
I
research
know about
tally
the
sticks.
that Joe. I was just thinking that's a whole new term to having a stick up your ass. You know what I mean?
All right, I feel like we've
like-
gone
we keep it
way
light.
off topic because monetary policy is definitely not one of my strong suits. So
Well, the thing
Look,
is, my
look,
point
Marty,
being is it,
It's one of mine. I'm very versed in the Federal Reserve. Been against them since 1964.
Wow, I was born the next year. Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
I just want to say this has been a really good live stream, y'all. But and I do
64 is when
respect.
they took the silver away from the coins.
If
That's
you
when
really
I-
look,
that's
our
when I-
history has been really a battle against the banks, and they really got their foothold in and took over. And this is where, again, Artie, where I'm talking about, where a lot of this commercial code was put in there, and Supreme Court cases overwritten to reflect the Uniform Commercial Code in order to operate under this commercial.
No, Universal
thing.
Commercial Code is not a federal law. That's
No, that's why you've got each state. That's what's so fucking crazy about it, is because it's anything but uniform. But the point being is that this is where this all got its edgeway in, and it was with that Federal Reserve Act. And then shortly after, 20 years later, this bankruptcy that FDR put us under. This was also the first year that they had the federal birth certificate shit going on. There was really a lot of pivotal shit.
wait, federal birth certificate?
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody's got to. It was by federal mandate that everybody had to have a birth certificate. 1930.
My father didn't.
My grandfather, or my father, was first in our
I
family.
thought it was some type of mandate.
My
I don't
my
know
father
that, but
didn't
I
have a
would've
birth
assumed.
certificate until like 20 years after he was born. Well, it was more than 20
My
years, maybe like
grandfather drugged
27
my
years.
grandmother over the Texas state line into Louisiana and beat the snot out of her in front of Texas cops and dared them to step across that imaginary line and do something about it. Guess what? They didn't do it.
Okay, calm down, Crispy. What the fuck?
But you know,
Hey, I'm
what the
perfectly calm. Listen, I
I-
just want to say, look, the respect for law is basic tenet of democracy and the integrity of the judicial system. I'm not saying I don't respect law, but
that was dope.
you know, the right to defy an unconstitutional law is also basic, and it's our constitutional structure. I mean, we look.
You
That's
can.
And there are unconstitutional laws, and there
yeah,
are.
I've made a
feelings
living. I've
being-
made a living off of them.
yeah. Okay. And there's feelings being enforced, and these dudes with badges, and then you know, look, I'm just gonna say Biden's a shit turd, dude. I watched this dude. I gave him a chance. I give everybody a chance.
Okay.
But just some people just shouldn't be in power. That's you know.
Well, I
and
mean-
Hang
what
in
do
there
we
a little
do?
longer, man.
And some
Hang in
asshat
there a little longer.
has
He's
a
gonna work
badge, and
miracles, I'm sure of it.
we can all
Okay.
agree that it's fucked.
Yeah, our politicians suck. News at 11.
well,
And
you know,
unjust
Yeah.
law is no law at all, right? And
If you
unjust
really
law
look
is
at it,
no
people
law at
have-
all.
have
St.
lost
Augustine,
sight.
Martin Luther King Jr.
they've lost sight of where, you know, they're watching this hand while this hand over here is doing something, while everybody's bitching and complaining about what Joe Biden's doing and that he should be taken out. They're not really looking at what happens when you pull that domino. Okay. And what does that do? That puts Kamala Harris in the White House. Oh shit. You know what else that does? That puts Nancy Pelosi in the VP spot. Oh shit. What if Kamala?
No, Kamala
slips out and-
gets to choose her own VP.
Is that true?
No.
Yeah,
because
just like when
that's how
Kennedy
we
was
got
shot.
Ford.
Just
Listen.
like we got Ford. Same.
Yeah,
way.
that's how we got Ford. He was Speaker of the House. He was next in line. So Spiro Agnew resigned, and then Ford took the VP position. And then Nixon resigned, and that elevated Ford to the POTUS.
What do you
Exactly.
do when you're given a choice between a giant douche and a turd sandwich? You just
Right.
don't fucking.
That's
vote.
every 4 years.
Period.
I
I-
choose neither.
You vote. You choose neither. We all saw the South Park episode, man. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
the thing is, everybody
I
says you
didn't
got to
say-
choose the
I-
lesser
I-
of two
I-
evils. And what's the lesser of two evils is still fucking evil. So
Great.
Right. It's the
That's
evil that's
good.
acceptable.
Hey guys, can I interrupt here for a quick second?
No, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm sorry,
ahead,
I don't
Archie.
mean to interrupt the discussion. I just wanted to let
It's
y'all
good,
know.
Archie.
Just wanted to let y'all know I just come over from Leducator's channel, and I found it really funny that people kept popping in the chat telling me about this show going on. And when I switched over just a few minutes ago, but before we ended our stream, I went back and told him, I said, man, I'm seeing like huge names over there with some discussion going on. And while I've got the opportunity, most of them up here I've gotten the chance to speak to, before. But I want to say hello to Archangel for Truth, and absolutely, Juan God, it is a pleasure having all of you here tonight and getting to be a part of this. So just know I'm
Yes,
honored
there
just to
was
have my
Speaker
little
of the
butt up
House.
here and amongst these kinds of names. I appreciate y'all being here. Artie, Joe Cool, you guys are
I'm about to zoom in
notorious
again.
for
I
sure.
don't think I know about anybody up here but you and Summer.
I remember watching that whole thing, Peter. Yes, he was Speaker of the House. That was my mother made me watch that whole fucking Watergate thing when I was a kid. She said, well, only the important parts. She goes, watch this. This
No,
is
I
the
watch
first
it
time
all
in
the time
history.
now.
And she said, this is the first time in history that a president's ever resigned. I can remember when all that shit was going down, and I thought, what, these people had some really stupid fucking names like Spiro. What kind of name is Spiro Agnew?
Spiro Agnew, yeah.
Okay.
I was just a kid. Anyway.
Yep. All right. Well, look, guys, it's almost midnight in
Yes,
my
it
neck of the
is.
woods, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But I want to thank you for having me on. This was an event.
Artie, it's been a pleasure,
as
man. Really.
fuck, bro.
Mr. What was it? What was his name? I want to break the corporate fiction or something like that.
Burning the corporate fiction.
Burning the corporate fiction. There he is.
He got bent.
He got very heated. It cast certain aspersions on me, even though I am not among God's chosen. But I got no issues with them anyway. But he seems to have an issue with them. But it is what it is. It's water under the bridge.
Hey, Artie, I'm sorry about that. We try to treat this. Joe's been here before. There will be sanctions because we treat this place like the Continental in the John Wick movies, man. We draw no blood here. We try to no blood to be spilled at the Continental. We can come from all different hitman fucking walks of life, but we don't kill each other here. You know what I'm saying? And so there will be sanctions.
I love it, baby.
I apologize if I was interrupting him a bit too much, but I mean the whole thing was like I knew that he was going to come in with these citations, and I was prepared for it, so I was ready to jump on it. But it is what it is.
It was great.
I understand you had nothing to do. It was not on your end, so I'm not holding it against you. Let's put it that way. But I want to thank you very much
Artie,
for having
I really
me on.
appreciate you showing up. I really appreciate you showing up to give us the other side, sir. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys again for having me on. Juan, always a pleasure. Joe Cool, Jeebus Crisp. Hey man, it's all good fun. Archangel, as always. Hey, it's a good talking to you. Thank you guys again, and I'll
good talking to you, Artie.
See y'all next time. Take
Good
care.
to see you, Artie.
All right, peace out, Artie. Thanks for coming.
Peace.
Bro.
Holy balls. Let's just have this little bit of silence right now while I open up another beer. I'm not going away yet, guys. Don't worry, I'm not going away. Give me 1 second. I'm still here, but I just want to give us this like zen of silence here. So we can all calm down. Whew. Damn. My man was heated. Man, he was an angry elf. Hold on. Darn it. Oh my God. My OBS is acting up again, and I think I know why. You know what? I might have to stop because OBS is acting up. Is acting crazy. I think I know why. Shit. Well, you know what? I think what I'll do, guys, is I'll gonna stop the. I'll go ahead and stop the stream. I think I gotta stop it. Unfortunately, I can't get my camera back on without resetting the stream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just stop here. It's midnight. I'll save it. I'll save it. Go ahead and save it for tomorrow. But another channel found me a something from Judge Lenise Bryant that was fucking amazing. But I'm gonna have to save it for tomorrow because OBS is acting up again. Unfortunately, so I can't get my camera back on. But thank you guys for being here. It's all, you know, it's kind of decent to end on midnight. Yeah, guys, I came in, I had no fucking idea who the son was. He was clearly full on like white nationalists, white supremacists. I mean, the anti-Semitism was kind of obvious from the get-go. I mean, again, I'm used to it. These kinds of guys, they don't scare me. So, but thank you guys. I hope you had fun. Thank you all of you for the super chats. I apologize if I missed any of them. I'll try to get through them. If I missed any of your super chats, I'll try to get through them tomorrow. For tomorrow's stream. So I make sure that you're recognized. I can't. OBS is acting like a fool right now. Anytime I try to touch something on there, it locks up on me. But thank you very much. Have a good one. Be well. And yeah, enjoy the weekend. Take care, guys. Adios. Oh, wait. No. Well, I have to correct. I say other channel. But Danny, my girlfriend, she pointed me to that other channel. And that other channel found Lenise Bryant. And so that's how I found Lenise Bryant, was from the other channel that Danny shared with me earlier today. I want to make that very abundantly clear. All right. Yes, my waifu. Not my girlfriend, my waifu. All right. We'll watch it tomorrow. Bye-bye.